Woo! You better fucking believe I'm back. What? Oh my goodness, people, dude. I'm like an Energizer Bunny, dude. I don't quit. I don't quit. You know we're doing Howie Carr here. You know we're doing Turtleboy Howie Carr here, folks. People. We're just waiting for Turtleboy to start here and call in.
With 65%. In second place
And
is
there
Colombia
we go.
with.
We're just waiting on that. I just got to hear what Howie's got to say about this. But yeah, it's been a long day, folks. I guess it's getting a little longer.
Penn's close to home where I'm from.
You always got to go with the local school.
Yeah.
But Penn is kind of
Oh, he called it at 6. Oh, I missed it. It's only
they've redeemed themselves slightly.
Oh well, folks. I guess
slightly.
I'm calling it.
But they could always fall off the wagon. These are all recidivist.
Let's take a listen, though. I'll just rewind
radicalism.
It. Says about
no
30
question
minutes
about it. Michael, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Michael.
We make like our stealth silver males with tiki torch.
20 jurors or 19? That's
a car.
Bomb Tel Aviv. I know the people saying this aren't, white Aryan males with tiki torches.
And I hold ass to get here
too. Message. But the students that are allowing this to go on with the Hamas flags, letting these people onto campus, the professors that are participating in this, it's the same message, which is Jews are not welcome.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Joining us now on the line is Aidan Kearney, a.k.a. Turtleboy. He's the blogger who's been writing about the Karen Reed case. Now he's facing charges of his own, but the jury selection was completed today, is my understanding, and there'll be final motions heard tomorrow. Then Friday is a day off, and on Monday, it's scheduled to begin. This trial is scheduled to begin with opening arguments. Is that right, Aidan? Do they have 20 jurors or 19? That's what I'm unclear about.
I heard they got 19. I heard they got rid of 5 today.
Okay, hold on. That's not the beginning, is it? Was he on a commercial break? Hold on. Let me see if...
Now my new mission is to get...
Way News.
$9.98, and you can save $1,000.
North.
They watch the House on television? Affect his appetite in the slightest. Just ask everybody at the Red Arrow Diner.
Your firearms are right for you.
Okay.
Simple truth.
Too far.
Listen up. The future My Pillow. It was the best. Dr.
Local 28.
Spring is here, but with the U.S. price. Ready?
And how he's got a lot of commercials.
I've heard the ad Anna Paul at risk.
Non-refundable deposit.
I was a green.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing?
Did I have it right the first time?
What is wrong with you?
A Turtleboy. He's the blogger who's been
writing
about the Karen Reed case. Now he's facing charges of his own. But
this is it now.
The jury selection was completed today, is my understanding, and there'll be final motions heard tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I guess I did have it right
the
first time.
Day off, and on Monday it's scheduled to begin. This trial is scheduled to begin with opening arguments. Is that right, Aidan? Do they have 20 jurors or 19? That's what I'm unclear about.
I heard they got 19. I heard they got rid of 5 today and then added 5 more because there was I don't know. People probably looked at their schedules and said, I can't afford to take 8 weeks off. I mean, who can?
Real quick. What's up, white boy? No, man. He didn't. This is a little off the subject. And thanks. I appreciate it. I talked about that earlier today. I think he's familiar with me possibly, but just by his reaction, by seeing my comment, he was just like, oh. but I don't think he picked me out of the chat. He was just all he was doing was acknowledging the super chats. That's all. But yeah.
Who can?
Are we up to
Or
8
something
weeks
like
now?
this.
8 weeks?
I mean, I think that's what we're looking at when we're all said and done. I would say 7 weeks at least, but you never know.
Yeah. So let me ask you about your trial first. One of the reasons I wanted to call you today is I saw the picture of Mello, the special prosecutor who's going after you, and he's got the oxygen tubes in his nostrils. I haven't seen anything like that in court since Larry Zanino was being sentenced for being a mobster back in the 1980s. Turtleboy,
it's his weird thing. He gets really sick whenever we need discovery or something like that. Luckily, he gets really better when there's a chance to send me back to jail. Like on March 14th, he was spry. He kind of waltzed into the courtroom on March 14th. He was miraculously better. But then, yesterday, he couldn't breathe without those tubes in his nose. So I
don't think he likes me now.
And Larry Zanino, at least they made him come to court. I mean, he had the paramedic and the wheelchair and the tubes up his nostrils, but he was in court. This guy Mello can't even make it to court. And he's
Harvey Weinstein. They wheeled his ass into court. But Mello, he just couldn't do it. It's too much. He also doesn't drive. He doesn't have a license, so he gets dropped off at court by someone in a red truck. So we don't. Maybe his ride didn't want to pay for it. The trip from Fall River to Dedham. Who knows? But it just seems like he's lost his fastball a little bit. He's not as into this as he was back in the day. Once he realized he had to do actual work, to go forward with this, and that it's actually a pretty daunting task. Like he's trying to,
How old is he, by the way?
Oh yeah, he's like a Fall River 55, I would guess. I'm not sure. He looks rugged, but I don't want to judge him. I don't think he takes too good care of himself just by the looks of him. He's got the Morrissey kind of frame to him, but I don't know about his work ethic.
All those complaints to the Board of Bar overseers will really take it out of you, I think.
Yeah. So they're not sending their best. And I just feel like they've lost their steam a little bit. And I think they're just waiting for the Reed trial to end. And I think eventually mine are going to get dropped because they can't go forward with this.
Yeah. So what's the latest on we keep going back to this proffer that was offered to the federal agent. I mean, have we learned anything more about what this involves and what he is going to testify or not testify to, and what kind of deal the feds have offered him? I mean, I know we don't know the actual official outlines, but what are your sources telling you about what he's going to say?
I mean, we don't know anything. We know nothing. Because the feds don't tell anyone anything what they're doing. Even Karen Reed's attorneys are kind of left in the dark about what the feds are investigating. So your guess is as good as mine. He said there's a federal proffer. I'll take him at his word that exists. That's obviously a serious thing for Brian Higgins. And, these people in the next few weeks, you're going to be wildly entertained. That's one thing I can guarantee you. You're going to see things in the courtroom that you've never seen before. The prosecution gets to go first. They said they're going to take 4 weeks. Everyone on their list has to get cross-examined. That includes all the McAlberts. And they're not going to do so well. These are people who aren't used to being challenged, who have been hiding from the spotlight this entire time.
Again, though, we've talked about this before. Just because someone's on a witness list, that doesn't mean they're going to be called. I mean, do you think they're going to call, say, Colin Albert as the prosecution's going to call him as a witness? I can't imagine it.
They'd have to call Jennifer McCabe. They're going to have to call her because she's the star witness, and she is extremely arrogant, and she's most of these people have been kind of laying low a little bit. I've never seen Brian Albert or Colin Albert or Brian Higgins because they smartly just don't go out But Jennifer McCabe insists on living life as if nothing has changed, and so she goes out.
She's how long to die in cold, right?
That's how long to die in cold. That's
so obviously she's going to be asked how long to die in cold about her tweet at 2:27. I mean, and there's no way the judge can entertain or sustain a motion to deny the defense the right to ask that question. I mean, I would think the prosecution would want to ask that question. You know, you want to put the bad stuff out there before you introduce your witness, right? But on the other hand,
Yeah, I mean,
I can't really imagine that they're going to ask that question. They're going to ask her to explain what she meant by how long to die in cold, to Google that.
yeah. And she'll, of course, say, I didn't do that. And then the prosecution will come in and try to save her and say, we have some, you know, oh, actually, she did it at 6:24, which nobody disputes. Everybody agrees she did it later on. The defense contends she did that to mask the earlier one. But,
Right.
yeah, I mean, and to a juror, the juror's going to hear all this. And at best, the Commonwealth is going to get jurors to say, well, I don't know who's telling the truth, which means we have reasonable doubt.
Right.
That is what they can hope to get out of this, is that, like, I don't know what happened, which means they're not going to convict her.
Yeah. Now, another thing that I keep wondering about is Michael Morrissey. Now, I know he's not a prosecution witness. Obviously, this is the district attorney who made this crazy videotape last summer and just put it out there, and it's just been shot full of holes since then. But again, I would think that this is a ways down the road when the defense has its chance to call witnesses. But you know damn well that the prosecution, Lally, the assistant DA, is gonna say, well, Your Honor, this is there's no reason to call the district attorney in this case. But again, I mean, I don't know how can she deny it after he made this idiotic statement.
Yeah, I mean, they've already made that argument. She has not made a ruling on it yet, is my understanding, and I think tomorrow she'll decide on that. I mean, but you're right. I mean, he voluntarily vouched for the witnesses. He didn't have to do that. He made himself part of this case. This victim witness advocate, Steve Nelson, is going to meetings with witnesses the day before they're supposed to testify in front of the federal grand jury, which is an odd thing why is he even meeting with the Alberts and the McCabe's? They're not victims of anything. Like, he's supposed to escort the family in, the O'Keefe family in, and he's meeting with Jennifer McCabe the day before she's supposed to testify in front of the federal grand jury, likely coaching them up what to say. So yeah, I mean, a fair judge would certainly allow Morrissey to be questioned, but this is Auntie Bev, so you never know what you're going to get.
So they're going to and again, I know you probably don't have the answers to this, but this is what people are asking: are the feds going to try to step into this? I would think not, but I didn't think they would go as far as they have. So there's
a lot of people that think that a theory is that they're going to give the prosecution the rope to hang themselves. Like, they know things that the Commonwealth knows, and they want to see, like, is the Commonwealth ballsy enough to present evidence in court that the feds know, that the Commonwealth knows is
false.
Inaccurate. It's phony. Like, will they present it? So a lot of people think that, they're giving them the rope to hang themselves, and that there might be intervention halfway. There might be indictments that come halfway, into this. Who knows? That's what I mean by the next 2 months. You're going to be entertained by a court trial in ways that you've never been entertained before. This is going to blow O.J. Simpson out of the water. The amount of must-see theater you're going to see in this courtroom in Dedham.
But you know what it's going to be, though, Turtleboy, would be, my thought is, they're going to be a lot of these endless sidebar conferences. Objection, Your Honor. Oh, no, I'd like to meet the counsel at the sidebar.
Sure.
And then there'll be like a 20, 30-minute break. And they don't have mics on the sidebar conference, right?
Nope. And it's all going to be over, like, what gets submitted to evidence, what you're allowed to ask, all that stuff.
It's a hot mic.
The last thing the prosecution wants is the defense asking questions of these witnesses, making them look stupid, which they're going to do. And they're going to be like, I guarantee there will be a situation where they have a sidebar. Like, if they ask her about the Google search at 227, they're going to ask for a sidebar and discuss whether or not, can he ask that? Can he ask that? They don't want them. Again, these people have nothing to hide, but they also can't answer any questions. It's the oddest thing.
Right. Well, let's say Proctor is the first witness, the state police investigator from the DA's office who is under investigation, and he has his own damning texts with some of the quote unquote witnesses. The first question is going to be, the first defense question is going to be, if the prosecution doesn't answer it. And again, I'm used to trials in the federal court where they put out all the dirt on their witnesses, but I don't think that's going to happen here. I don't think they're going to play by the traditional rules where you try to protect yourself because they have so much dirt to hide. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Michael Proctor, I wouldn't be looking forward to this trial. If I was Jennifer McCabe, I wouldn't be looking forward to this trial. Nothing good can come of this, for them. They've probably been fearing this for so long. There was an evidentiary hearing scheduled for May 24th of last year. That was set in stone. They canceled it the day before it was supposed to happen because the defense wanted to question Proctor, Brian Albert, and Jennifer McCabe. So these people I guarantee this, they're fearing this. They don't want to go in.
Trooper Proctor, are you under investigation, an internal affairs investigation by the state police? Objection, Your Honor.
Totally.
Meet parties at the sidebar.
You can't ask him questions while he's on the stand.
To lie to a state grand jury.
Objection, Your Honor.
There's so many questions to ask her. Why didn't, when she called 911 from outside the house, why didn't she tell the dispatcher she was outside her sister's house? The dispatcher tells her to get blankets, and she says she doesn't have any. She fails to mention, oh yeah, I'm outside of my sister's house, and her husband, he's a cop. So maybe I should go in there and wake up the first responder. But they don't do that. They never came outside of the house. The jurors are going to hear this, and they're going to have the same visceral reaction that I did and every other unbiased person did when they heard about this. At best, they're going to get reasonable doubt. At worst, these people are just going to the jurors are going to look at them and say, we know what's happening here. We're not stupid. We know that Karen Reed didn't do this. We know the people inside there did. One of you did it. We don't know which one of you did it, but somebody must have, because he died and he didn't end up there on accident. So who did it?
I still want to know where Chloe is.
That's the $1 million question. But
yep.
Oh, by the way, things are blowing up outside in the buffer zone today. It's kind of backfired.
What happened?
There's a McAlbert friend. Yeah, there's there's this guy that showed up yesterday. He's like a convicted felon named Jonathan Lee.
Jonatalia, Turtleboy.
He showed up and he started yelling at me and telling me I'm going to prison and all this stuff. And he did the same to Karen today inside the buffer zone. And so after court, the police were sure to kind of crack down on it. And there's this one kind of McAlbert friendly reporter. He's Wendy Murphy's idiot son, Grant.
Oh, that guy, yeah. That you had a phone off with him. Yeah,
right. A phone off. Yeah. So he starts asking, grilling Karen about stupid questions or whatever, and the state police kind of just pushed him away. No, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. And those are the people that were cheering on censorship.
Right.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But then when it happens to them, it's all of a sudden bad.
We got to take a break. Turtleboy, can you come back for a couple of minutes more? Till the bottom of the hour. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr will be right back.
And this is cool because I can fast forward, but I'm going to make the point, since that was brought up. And no, white boy, no, I don't think Vinny likes me. At least as of now, he doesn't. Not after I sent that super chat and made that comment, put him in that position to answer the way that he did. But, oh well. But I'm not really here to make friends. So, and I'm not here to get clout by kissing the asses of people who are in a position to provide me with clout. If I'm going to get clout, I want it from you guys, my actual supporters. And that's the only clout I'm interested in getting. But as far as this buffer zone situation that happened today with Grant, I absolutely agree with Turtleboy in the sense that, yeah, I mean, these people were absolutely cheering on the censorship. They were absolutely saying that Turtleboy got exactly what he deserved by going to jail, so on and so forth. But it doesn't change my opinion in the sense that it shouldn't be happening to anybody. There shouldn't even be a buffer zone. And again, I've said it many times. You don't get to cherry pick when the First Amendment is convenient. You don't get to cherry pick who the First Amendment works for and who it doesn't work for. It works for everyone. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your opinions are. It doesn't matter what you believe in, what you don't believe in. You have the right to your voice and your opinion. And that includes Grant. So I didn't like seeing the Massachusetts State Police flex their power all over Grant any more than I like seeing it done to Turtleboy, if I'm being honest. Was there a little bit of poetic justice there? Absolutely, no doubt about that. But my deep love for what this country is founded on, the ideas that this country was founded on, absolutely trumps anything else. It absolutely trumps my opinions of other people. It absolutely trumps my opinions on whether or not somebody gets to have rights and whether they don't. I think everybody gets rights. Everybody deserves that's what makes them rights. It means you are entitled to those things. And those are the only things that you're entitled to. As far as I'm concerned, what is written in the Constitution is what you're entitled to, nothing more. But nevertheless, Grant is entitled to those same rights as much as any of us. So I just didn't like seeing the Massachusetts State Police flex their power and weaponize their power and bully somebody who was just asking a question. Now, does that make Grant innocent? No. He has done a lot of shit in the last few weeks, much less the last few months. But at the same time, again, the overall grand scheme of things, my opinion is that Grant has his rights. Having the I mean, how do I put this? I really don't know how to put it. Welcome to Logic Wine Cellar Infused. The thing about rights, let me pause this real quick. The thing about rights is, and the thing about free speech is actually what I mean to say. The thing about free speech, there are two sides to the coin of free speech. One side is that you get to say whatever you want. Doesn't matter what it is. You're allowed your opinion. The other side is you're going to hear things that you don't like, and you're going to hear from people that you don't like. That's how it works. It is what it is. Having this understanding of the First Amendment makes me feel perfectly comfortable with defending Grant's freedom of speech. And that's all I'll say about that. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Map, thank you so much. Greatest coverage on this case. Wow, that means a lot. Thank you so much. I disagree. I think there's better coverage out there, but yeah. But I guess I got my own style. I'll take it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. It means a lot. It really does. I'll tell you that story since I got so many new subs. Yeah, I used to cover somebody named Ryan Upchurch on this channel. He decided to insert himself in another case that the whole world was talking about. And he did so extremely irresponsibly, to the point to where it got him 2 lawsuits. And I felt like those lawsuits are deserved because freedom of speech does have its limits, whether we like it or not. You cannot slander people. You cannot incite harassment of people. And the fact of the matter is, that's exactly what Cuck Church did when he did that. And he was making fun of true crime channels, which a lot of the stuff about true crime channels that he says, I absolutely agree with. But since he has 3 million subs and he doesn't monetize his channel, he's like, he basically says, yeah, right up Church the Singer. Yes. He was mocking true crime channels whenever there was a super chat, and he would say, I think we got a super chat. Somebody clipped it, sampled it, made this little song, and superimposed his face on that image of that person dancing. And I got a hold of it and decided to use it for my super chat indicator there. Oh my goodness, Carl Lively, thank you so much. Gifted 5 memberships. Leandra, Carrie B, Lauren TZY, Just Christine, Trixie, and Finn. Congrats, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Carl Lively, that was amazing. Appreciate you. Thank you. K-Pick, member for a month. Thank you so much. All right, let's finish this up here.
And he's covering the Karen Reed trial. He's broken in so many of the stories. He's got his own legal problem.
The Howie Carr Show is back.
With us for a few more minutes is Aidan Kearney, a.k.a. Turtleboy, and he's the blogger, and he's covering the Karen Reed trial.
I don't have any coffee. I got to make some. I'm here. We might as well hang out a while.
Problems now, although they'll probably go away when the when the Karen Reed trial is over. Certainly hope so. Aidan, I don't anticipate having you on before the opening arguments, but you never know with this case. I mean, there could be some more bombshells coming out of the motions tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you never know. There's never a dull moment in the Karen Reed hearings, for sure.
Yeah. So you told me that the state police that are supposedly enforcing the buffer zone right away from the courthouse, 200 feet. They didn't do anything with this guy that was hassling you yesterday, and Karen Reed, the defendant, today.
Oh yeah, no, that guy, no. And then he came to my house today, Howie, where my kids live. Right?
He came to your house.
Yeah, I found out because somebody sent me the YouTube video. He streamed outside of my house, right? And not that it's like when I do that, by the way, it's intimidating a witness,
right?
Because I am a witness in a couple other cases. Like I'm a protected class of people in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You can't protest me, right? But when I do it, it's a felony, right? When someone else does it, it's just legally protected.
Well, I guess you're the same. Look on the bright side. I guess you're in the same class with Brett Kavanaugh. Some transgender comes to his house with knives and ropes and guns, and nothing happens to him, right? Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. I mean, not just him though. The whole Supreme Court had that happen to him last year. At least the conservative ones did, and we were told that this is all just American spirit of First Amendment protected speech. You can protest outside people's homes. Then I do it to Jennifer McCabe, and all of a sudden it becomes felony witness intimidation. In fairness, it took 3 months. I did it in July. It became a felony witness about felony witness intimidation about 3 months later.
There were no witnesses, but you engaged in felony witness intimidation. I've never understood that one, but there's a lot about this trial I don't understand. Where can people follow you, Turtleboy?
They can follow me on tbdailynews.com or on Twitter at Dr. Turtleboy, because if Joe Biden's a doctor, then so am I.
And in this trial, people are asking, is this trial going to be on TV? Of course it is, right? You can get it. You're going to be able to get this trial anywhere, right?
Yeah, on YouTube. The multiple, all the major networks, I think, will stream it on YouTube. I'm not sure if it'll be on network TV, but certainly on YouTube, it'll be everywhere.
Yeah.
Social media.
Thank you, Robin G. Welcome to the
sidebar conference. But the actual, there will be a lot of fireworks, I'm sure. This is going to be a very interesting trial.
Yeah, get your popcorn ready. It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before. If you thought Mark Furman was a bad witness, wait till you meet Michael Proctor.
I want him to ask Higgins about the proffer. You know, people are going to learn a lot of people didn't know what a proffer was until the last couple of weeks. They're learning fast. This
I
is
had no idea.
This is a lesson for in legal tactics, criminology. Thank you, Turtleboy. I'm Howie Carr. Perfect Smiles is growing. Dr. Houghton has brought on 2 new dentists. Dr.
All right. Turtleboy on Howie Carr. You know, we always love it.
This guy is unfucking believable.
Oh, folks. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was watching, I was catching up on my SVU and I was looking through Twitter. And then what I saw was Turtleboy saying 18 minutes ago, I'll be on Howie Carr. And then I was like, oh shit. So I figured it was the usual time. So I hauled ass down here back to my studio. And then I was like, oh, okay. You guys, I guess it already happened. But it's good because I got to pause it. Which yeah, I prefer replays anyway. But that's the first time I've ever missed the mark on that one. So but I like to I've kind of made more or less a commitment with you guys to stream Turtleboy when he's on Howie Carr. So I didn't think that being tired from a 7-hour stream was a good enough excuse to not make good on my commitment to you guys. So so here we are, and we might as well hang out a little bit if you guys want to. I have a couple of things I want to go over anyway. Now, and big shout out to Tom CPU, man. If you guys aren't subscribed to Tom CPU, make sure to do so. Tom CPU is just killing it, man. Tom CPU got the tea from Ted Daniel himself, as far as what was going on, as far as where we're at, as far as jury selection goes. And yeah, I love it. And more importantly, Tom CPU is capturing. See, this is why what Tom is doing is so important, because we watched John Atalia go live when he was, I guess he was approaching Turtleboy's house. I didn't realize that at the time, or else I wouldn't have streamed it. But he was going near Turtleboy's house and to harass him, and he was lying. He was lying about the people outside the protest. He was lying about how many people were out there. He was lying about how many people think that Karen Reed is innocent or guilty. He was just lying. It's what John Atalia does. He just lies. He's full of shit. Now, so, but that's why what Tom does is so important. One of the reasons, only one of the reasons why what Tom does is so important, because Tom's out there all day long, man. All day long streaming. He gets up first thing in the morning. He's live. As soon as my alarm goes off and I got to take care of Clubber and get him all ready and set up down here to stream the court hearings, Tom CPU is in his car driving over to the courthouse and capturing the people at 7 a.m. And the people that have been there, he's capturing the people that have been there since like 5:30 a.m. And these people are committed to justice. And to me, that's an incredible, beautiful thing. And I think it's very important for people to be able to see that. And you cannot properly tell this John O'Keefe, Karen Reed story without Turtleboy and what he's done, and those beautiful people that are gathered outside that courthouse whose First Amendment rights are currently being impeded on. So that what Tom does is extremely important, and he has my support 150%. And he's kind enough to allow me to stream it so I could show my viewers as well. So thank you for that. Terry, I didn't realize it. It was on the fly, man. But you're here, aren't you? No harm done. Calm down. Okay. But yeah. Oh, and Cherry, I've been trying to get you to do this all day. Could you drop that popcorn link, please? Because I mean, you could buy a pack of. I've been trying to get Cherry to drop this link all day long. I don't know why she doesn't listen to me. I don't know why she just willfully ignores me. I don't know why I can't get any respect at all whatsoever from her. But there's a link for this popcorn. You get a bag of popcorn, and the proceeds to the bag of popcorn, delicious popcorn, by the way, go to Karen Reed's defense fund, because she's not made of money, people. And Jackson and Yannetti are doing a hell of a job, and Jackson and Yannetti doing a hell of a job is not cheap. So, yeah, we don't want Karen Reed to run out of legal funds, people. So yeah. But I don't know why. Yeah, Cherry, if you could just please cooperate for once and share this popcorn link so people can support Karen Reed's defense fund. I mean, what kind of a villain are you? Jesus. Oh my God, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Oh man. Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely 100% true. Speaking of which, let me see something here. Now, man, Jesus Christ, am I going to do this now? This might be a two-parter, folks, but this is something I wanted to go over. I went over the part one, so you guys got a taste of this person. This person who I like to refer to as Canceled Karen, who is notorious for basically just going the opposition, no matter who she defames, and she will defame because she got $1 billion for defamation. So, and she lost. So I'm gonna go over, because I just like I like to review the idiots who are just, again, willfully ignorant. And Canceled Karen is most definitely a willfully ignorant retard. She's so desperate. She's just clawing and scratching her way back into relevance, and failing miserably. But I still, because I am many things, folks. Okay, I am many things. But one thing that is significant that I am when it comes to reviewing people like Canceled Karen is just plain fucking petty. It's just fun to me. It's just fun to me. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and review this. I'm gonna speed it up because this is a lot. And supposedly on this part, I went over her reading this affidavit and just basically just leaving out. I mean, she read the affidavit, but left out everything that took common sense to comprehend from reading the affidavit. She willfully just left anything out that was absolutely oh man, I don't even, who's even in the Stanley Cup this year, Carl Lively? I don't really know, but you're getting a dance.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. think we got a super chat.
Thank you so much, Carl Lively. So who's who are the Bruins playing? Who are they playing? Oh man, I hate when I do that. That means I'm gonna have grounds of coffee like in my cup. Oh, Toronto? Oh, yeah, Bruins all the way. Listen, I'm rooting if it comes to baseball, right? I'm rooting for when it comes to baseball, I'm rooting for St. Louis Cardinals first and foremost. Second, the Miami Marlins, and third, it's going to be Boston. Okay. And don't feel bad about that. You should actually feel good about that because I'm not from Boston. I just love the fans. Honestly, that's an honest fucking statement. I've always just loved Boston fans. They are the most loyal fans in the world, and I love that. To me, that's right. You are tight. Absolutely. Now, when it comes to hockey, it's same thing. Blues, Panthers, then Bruins. So go Bruins. I'm with you guys, man. Go Bruins. Go Bruins, people. We're talking about hockey, okay? We're not talking about soccer, which you call football for some reason over there. I don't know why you do that, Cherry. It's really weird because, you know, football is football. I mean, American football is the only football. If it's not American football, then it is then it's soccer. Okay? Period. That's it. Oh my goodness.
I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat.
I think you mean Grandmaster Sinsofos. I think you mean soccer. Jen Kitty, thank you so much. Congrats on 26K. Oh man, that's really nice. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Thank all of you for me getting to 26K. I'm always surprised when I reach higher numbers. I expect to get canceled every single fucking time I come on here. So yeah, no. I mean, I don't know what it is, man. Like, yeah, Melanie Little, just, I mean, I can't really shit on her taste in sports teams because she follows sports more than I follow sports. I don't follow sports enough to like be like, oh man, that sucks, blah, 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 blah. But when I do follow sports, I don't like New York teams. Never have. I mean, you just can't, right? I mean, when it comes to my St. Louis Cards, the Mets are pond scum. And yeah, sorry. I love you, Scott. And we like Melanie Little here too, man. We like her a lot. But I mean, oh my God, it's Grateful Dead, it's New York Rangers, it's too much. Can't stand it. Right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know. She's from New York. It's not her fault. Can't hold everything against her. I'm just kidding, Melanie. We love you. But yeah, so of course canceled Karen had to, speaking of Melanie Little, of course canceled Karen had to single Melanie Little out for whatever reason. Because, well, you know, she feels threatened by her because, you know, she fancied herself being a lawyer, but she's not a lawyer. She thinks that she's a lawyer, but she's not. And canceled Karen got sued and didn't hire a lawyer, and her defense for this lawsuit was la 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 la. You can't sue me. No, no, no. You're harassing me. I don't care about your summons. I don't care about your motions. La la la. That was almost literally what her response was to this lawsuit. It's fascinating. She's a fascinating human being, which is why, even though she's totally irrelevant these days, I still find her fascinating, especially the fact that, like I said, she's trying to scratch and claw her way back into relevance, and it's not working out. Yeah, and she went to Hawaii instead of getting a lawyer. She went to Hawaii on vacation instead of getting a lawyer when she's being sued for $10 million. That's a true story. That happened. That's a fact. Oh, yeah. Cardinals got their ass beat yesterday, but we won today. My man got the walk-off on Monday. I've lived here all my life. Been here, only been to one Blues game. I got lucky when I lived in St. Louis, when I was born there, actually. So when I was living in St. Louis as a kid, I was lucky. I was kind of underprivileged, but I was lucky to have some people who took me under their wing and cared for me, and they took me to Cardinals games and Blues games, and it was cool. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. This is when they had a Cardinals football team. That was a long time ago. But we didn't go to many of those. But yeah. So yeah. Without any further ado, let's see how long Canceled Karen gets her shit, how long it takes her to get her shit together here.
Missed the first part. It's I did earlier today. I read through just the beginning part of the probable cause affidavit, and that's on the previous video to this. I'm hoping once I get through this probable cause affidavit that my guest will be ready to join me. If not, I'll have to shut it down and start up a new live stream. So let's jump right back into that probable cause affidavit. You should be seeing it on your screen. And where we left off is Jennifer McCabe told authorities that she knew that somebody else was coming. However, that person never arrived. And we know that person is likely John O'Keefe, Karen Reed's boyfriend, who was a police officer. So let's jump right back into it. That's where we left off. Juliana Nagel stated that she had called her brother Ryan for a ride home at approximately 12 a.m. While waiting for him to arrive, she was looking out the kitchen window and observed an SUV stopped by the mailbox with the front of the SUV facing Chapman Street. She stated that she further observed the SUV travel along the front of the house and stop between the mailbox and the flagpole where it came to a stop. She observed the SUV further pull up closer to the flagpole and stop again.
Thank you so much, Tar 30.
She went outside to speak with her brother and noticed that it was lightly snowing at the time. So remember, on this particular evening, there was a blizzard.
This is Canceled Karen. She lost, and she had not one but two different YouTube channels on separate occasions taken from her by YouTube, deleted because she likes to blame and harass victims. She's a big fan of that. And then, played victim when she got sued for it. Pretty fascinating. And it's kind of a tradition to go over her bullshit here. And of course, it was such a blessing to find out that she decided to chime in on this case. And I'm just like, ooh, more content. Yay.
Was a blizzard, but the blizzard didn't really sort of set out in full force until shortly after midnight, sort of coinciding with whatever happened to John O'Keefe occurred. After her brother declined her offer to come inside and she indicated to him that she would arrange an alternative way home, she went back inside the home with the SUV still parked in the aforementioned position. Ms. Nagel stated that she left the residence in the McCabe's vehicle sometime between 1:30 and 2 a.m. with Mr. McCabe driving. Ms. McCabe in the front passenger seat, her behind the driver in the back seat, and Ms. Levinson seated next to her behind Ms. McCabe.
Yeah, I looked into that a little bit, but I did not actually cover it. But I do want to. I am loosely familiar with the details, but I'm not nearly as well versed on the Sandra Birchmore case as I am this case. But I know they're very connected, and I know that they have a lot of the same players and a lot of the same good old boy bullshit. And yeah, we're gonna get into that at some point, because I also believe that you cannot properly tell this story without telling the Sandra Birchmore story. So I will get into that at some point.
Mr. McCabe reversed out of the driveway, and as they traveled past the house, Ms. Nagel indicated that she thought she saw something. She described it as a dark object in the snow by the flagpole, but could not determine what it was. And I'm sorry, I have an interruption. One moment.
So what did she say?
In the snow by the flagpole house, Ms. Nagel indicated that she thought she saw something. She described it as a dark object in the snow by the flagpole, but could not determine what it was. And I'm sorry, I have an interruption. One moment. Later that day, January 29th, troopers Matthew Dunn and David DeCicchio interviewed Miss Carrie Roberts. Miss Roberts stated to them that approximately 5 a.m. she received a call from the defendant stating that John did not come home. It was snowing and she was worried. The defendant further stated to Miss Roberts, quote, "John's dead. Carrie, I wonder if he's dead. It's snowing and he got hit by a snowplow." Now, this is interesting because if true, if this witness's statement is true.
Any asshole can get a press pass. Which is what makes it so funny that Battery Betty ended up getting hers revoked.
True. That would indicate that Karen Reed knew that she hit John, or at least suspected that she hit John, and was already coming up with a cover story. So, I want to remind everybody, whatever happened to John happened around 12:30 a.m. And then this subsequent search by Karen Reed, this sort of frantic, I'm going to call everyone and anyone to drag them into the search for my boyfriend, which again, like I said a couple hours ago, that's not normal behavior. That's not normal. If your significant other and you split ways and you see them go into someone's home and you're intoxicated and you go home to, quote, sleep it off. If you wake up a mere 4 hours later, 4:30 in the morning, are you really going to be frantic if you saw them go into the home? I don't know. I would think, well, he is drunk.
Well, yeah, you might get frantic. Again, if there are two kids that person is responsible for and would never leave those kids alone, of course you'd get frantic. Of course you'd be worried. Now, maybe canceled Karen here is used to being with dudes who fucking go off places and pass out drunk and God knows where, but responsible people who have kids at home don't do that shit. So I don't know what she's talking about.
Just like me, and he's sleeping it off. I'm going to put my phone aside and I'm going to get a few more hours sleep and wait and see if he turns up. To me, that seems...
Well, that's because you're a heartless twat. That has nothing to do with suspicion or anything else. That's just because you suck. Because you have ice in your veins. That's all that is.
What a normal logical person would do. Her behavior seems a little odd to me, that she would wake up 4 hours later and be frantic and be calling all kinds of people and waking up the niece at 4:30 in the morning and saying, and then further saying
that's what you do when you're worried about someone who should be home with two kids that they're responsible for.
Witness, he's dead. I think he got hit by a snowplow. Dragging people into them, having them Google things like how long to die in the cold, making sure you have people with you, having them call 911. She has the niece call 911, that she has Jennifer McCabe call 911. To me, this is very odd behavior. I'm not sure how the conspiracy theorists defend that or make sense of that, because to me, it just seems abnormal. It seems over the top. And to be claiming at 4:30 in the morning when you know nothing, he could be in the house sleeping on the couch. Why are you jumping right to being hit by a snowplow? Again, very, very odd. Miss Roberts got dressed and left in her vehicle, eventually meeting the defendant at Miss McCabe's home.
It's called speculating as to what might have happened to him. Your mind will go to the best possible scenario, but it will also go to the worst possible scenario when you're genuinely worried about someone.
Abe's home, where she observed the defendant to be hysterical. Miss Roberts stated that she believed the defendant was still intoxicated in the morning and told her that she did not remember last night. Miss Roberts reported the defendant as stating to her, quote, "I was so drunk, I don't even remember going to your sister's last night," referring to Miss McCabe's sister, the homeowner of 34 Fairview Road. So let's sort of put together this tree here, sort of explanation of how these people know each other. So Miss McCabe, or Jennifer McCabe's sister, is the owner of 34 Fairview Road, her last name being Albert. So there's this sort of nexus between these people here. And Chris Albert, the owner of the home, happens to also be a law enforcement officer. And so as we get into this,
okay, idiot, Chris Albert's not the owner of the home, and he's not a law enforcement officer. Dummy, do your homework. Chris Albert he sits on the select board in Canton, Massachusetts. He's the brother of Brian Albert, the owner of 34 Fairview Road at the time. And he is not a police officer. Chris Albert is not a police officer. Brian Albert was the police officer. Dummy.
Where the defense goes with this is that these people, there's this vast conspiracy between these people and the lead investigator on the case, whose last name is Proctor. There's this vast conspiracy between these people because they're all police officers and their family. So ergo, they must all be conspiring to make what is likely a domestic violence incident that results.
Right. Okay. I love that. So she literally pretty much just said, it's not suspicious at all that the lead investigator and the people inside that house are all family. Practically family. She admits that I gotta hear that one more fucking time, dude. This is great. Oh, canceled Karen, you never fail to. Oh, yes, it's so much fun.
There's this vast conspiracy between these people and the lead investigator on the case, whose last name is Proctor. There's this vast conspiracy between these people because they're all police officers and their family. So ergo, they must all be conspiring to make what is likely a domestic violence incident that resulted in catastrophic injury and eventually death, make it look like an accident by framing Karen Reed. And the frame up job.
Yeah. Because there are a bunch of cops who fucking beat up on another cop, allegedly. That's the theory. Somebody beat the shit out of John O'Keefe, allegedly. At least I believe so. And yeah, it just so happened, like, you could tell that she didn't do any homework as to how Proctor ended up on the case in the first place. She did no homework on this whatsoever. Like, Turtleboy connected all the dots, and that's how we got to where we are. He didn't just say it. He didn't just go, oh, well, just so happens that Proctor and these people are practically family, and, that's suspicious. No, like, he connected all the dots. And even got to where, and even exposed how, or at least explained how Michael Proctor ended up being the lead investigator on this case. Oh my God.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad.
Grandmaster Sophos, thank you. Yes, absolutely true. I think she's more jealous of Melanie Little right now. I think that's who she's focused on. Oh my God, again?
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Thank you, Scott McGinnis. What does it say here? Scott McGinnis says, Let me guess. The clown that you are playing is a big figure in the true crime or trauma community. Oh my God, please spare me. However, laugh. Yeah, well, she was. That's what's funny is she's desperately trying to get her status there back. But it's over. Her channel got deleted, gone. She's done. Then she tried to come back, pathetically tried to hang on with a fraction of the subscribers and the viewership that she got before. Everybody who was loyal to her just ditched her because they were only loyal to her based on the fact that other people were watching her. They were like, oh my God, this person has so many subscribers. Well, then I'm going to listen to her. But now that she's nobody, they didn't give a fuck anymore. And then that channel got canceled again. So yeah, that's yeah, cancel Karen.
Job is so convoluted that it involves taking pieces of her taillight and planting it on the body, taking pieces of the cocktail glass. Remember the cocktail glass I was telling you about, placing that on the bumper. The cocktail glass is embedded in the bumper, and pieces of her taillight, even microscopic pieces, are on John O'Keefe as he's on that lawn. So in order for there to be a vast conspiracy, it must be extraordinarily vast. And her defense team's only sort of hook to say that all of these people are conspiring to frame Karen.
It's not that vast. I mean, it is vast, but it's very simple as to why it's believable, as why it's believable that it's so vast. It's very simple. Brian Albert's powerful in Canton. Chris Albert is powerful in Canton. Chris Albert sits on the select board. I mean, he's basically the mayor. He might as well be. So, I mean, yeah, it's not that hard to believe. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy that Chris Albert would have the a significant influence over the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office.
Karen Reed is that there's this relation between them, and I think with I think it's Lieutenant Proctor. It's his wife's sister. I mean, it's such a convoluted. I mean, you know, you're from a small town. You know how this goes, right? You know how.
Yeah, good old boy bullshit. But no, you're wrong. Michael Proctor is not even remotely related to the Alberts, at least not by blood and not even in law. He's just a family friend, but a close one, because Michael Proctor's mother was quoted in saying that the Alberts are like their second family, her second set of kids, or some shit like that. They're like family, right? Oh no, I mean, she would do it now just for the chance to be relevant again. But no, I like to stick to just reviewing her because I like to keep her in her little place. Because this video here was put behind a paywall that I managed to get a hold of, and she doesn't get a fraction of the views that I get. So it just tickles me to be able to get so many more views with her content, reviewing it, trashing it, and capitalizing on it, because I just know that it gets under her skin. It's just fun to me. Because like I said, I'm fucking petty.
In small towns, a lot of people you might have people that are first, second, third generation related. You have people who everybody knows each other. People tend to be maybe a little bit more tight knit. So to me, it's not surprising that you have this community where these people might all know each other, and you're going to probably have some relation in there, whether it's, again, removed twice, 3 times removed or more, where someone sits.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a
Ghost 617, JLR should be referred to as vagina and not genitalia, sir. No, sorry, it sticks. He has been dubbed genitalia for at least 2 years now, at least. And it stays. It stays. But nice. I mean, it's good effort. Thank you, Ghost. Appreciate it.
One sister's related to somebody else's sister's husband, right? It's this real convoluted level. And I have this tree that I did. Give me just a moment and I'm going to pull it up. So I'm sorry, I said Chris Albert. It's Brian Albert is the homeowner, married to Nicole Albert. And Nicole Albert and Jennifer McCabe are sisters. And Jennifer, of course, is married to Matt McCabe. And then the children of Brian and Nicole Albert are Caitlin and Brian Jr. And I was this tree, sister's husband, right? It's this real convoluted level. And I have this tree that I did. Give me just a moment and I'm going to pull it up.
Oh, yeah. You know it's wrong.
So I'm sorry, I said Chris Albert. It's Brian Albert is the homeowner, married to Nicole Albert. And Nicole Albert and Jennifer McCabe are sisters. And Jennifer, of course, is married to Matt McCabe. And then the children of Brian and Nicole Albert are Caitlin and Brian Jr. And they have a friend named Julie Nagel. And then Brian Albert's brother, Chris, is married to somebody named Julie Albert, and their son is Colin. And that name Colin is going to factor in here because part of Karen Reed's defense strategy has been to levy the blame on various people. They've, from what I've seen in every hearing that I've watched and every document that I've read, they've yet to lay the blame at any one specific person's feet. They just have sort of thrown out this mass blame on nearly all of these people. And
okay, let me break that down for you. That's because we don't know what happened inside that house. All we know is that John O'Keefe had to have been beaten up inside that house and discarded like trash on the front lawn. That's the only thing that we know, because nothing else makes sense. And if Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her SUV, which an independent federal investigation has determined that did not happen, well, then there's only one other place that you can look, and that is inside 34 Fairview Road, the night of January 29th, 2022, or the early morning hours of, I should say. That is the only place you can look. Either you are looking at Karen Reed's SUV, and once that is eliminated, which it is based on an independent federal investigation, you have to look inside that house. That house owned by Brian Albert and the people who were inside it. Simple. Very, very simple.
and have suggested that all of the people that were there at the after party are in on this conspiracy and cover up to blame.
They absolutely are. Yes. And they're all fucking liars.
Karen Reed for what Karen Reed's defense attorney say was assault inside the home. So essentially her defense team has said, well, he made it into the home and he was assaulted. And and it's sort of like throwing mud against the wall and seeing what sticks. So they've muddied all of these people, including a dog named Chloe, who later after this at some point was rehomed. Again, not
how. Okay. So now she's playing the Twattendorfer. She's playing the Twattendorfer song. Poor Chloe. Chloe's being falsely accused of a crime. Nobody blames Chloe. Chloe's a victim. In my opinion, Chloe is a murder victim as much as John O'Keefe. In my opinion, Chloe Albert is in the very same place where the remains of the original flooring of the basement of 34 Fairview Road is. That's my opinion. Chloe is right there.
Not suspicious. A lot of people rehome dogs. The story is that the dog was having altercations with a neighbor dog, and when the neighbor tried to break it up, the dog bit the neighbor, so they rehomed the dog. There's also been these sort of wild claims that it's a conspiracy because these people sold their home. Not unusual. People sell their homes. They replace the basement floor. Not unusual. A lot of people replace their basement floors. I mean, I've done mine 3 times now because of my animals. So they use all of these sort of loose associative things and conjecture to put the blame on all of the people that were in that home. And again, I just find that to be incredibly irrational, because where you might be able to get 2 people to keep a secret, even that is incredibly difficult. Now you're talking about upwards of 13, including a teenager. So you know how defensive I get of teenagers who are being wrongfully accused. It's my understanding that this Colin Albert, which again is the nephew of the homeowners, who was there at some point, but left, according to the state's evidence, left before Karen and John.
Not according to the state's evidence. No. According to liars.
John even arrived.
Proven liars.
So this kid, Colin, it's my understanding.
And yeah, it turned out that they first said that he was never in the home. The district attorney of Norfolk County made a public statement lying and saying he was never in the home, inserting himself in this case and making himself a witness now because he's a fucking idiot.
That he's had a very rough time of these accusations, as you can understand. We all know how false accusations go. It only needs to be said and accused. And if it's said and accused by lawyers who are trying to create a smokescreen and trying to get their client off, people take that seriously. You have many people that will take that seriously.
I don't know if she's been harassing her on X, but I know Melanie deleted her channel or deleted her X account. Which I would say is sad. I just don't like that somebody felt the need to do that. That bothers me that she felt the need to do that. But the thing is she's not very active on it anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But still, nobody should be. I mean, and out of just sheer jealousy too, people harass Melanie Little because she actually knows what the fuck she's talking about. She makes perfect sense, and she happens to be an attorney. I mean,
that will say, well, if lawyers are saying it, it must be true. As if lawyers never lie. As if lawyers never have a fanciful story. And
right.
This is
as if prosecutors never lie, right?
Really what this is, in my opinion. It's a fanciful story because it just doesn't line up. If it were just one or two oddities that Karen demonstrated, I might be able to write them off, but it's a whole slew of them. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get more into that tonight with my guest. And I see that he messaged me back. Oh, no, he sent me an audio. Okay, let's continue with the affidavit. So Karen is telling Miss Roberts that she was so drunk, she didn't even remember going to the Albert home, Brian and Nicole Albert's home, for the after party. Miss Roberts followed the defendant's black Lexus SUV back to Mr. O'Keefe's house. They went inside the home for a period of time looking for him to no avail and checking on the victim's niece. While at the victim's home, Miss Roberts stated that the defendant had told her and Miss McCabe about a cracked rear passenger taillight and showed the both of them that area of her vehicle. Miss Roberts then drove her vehicle with Miss McCabe in the front passenger seat and the defendant in the rear passenger side back to 34 Fairview Road. She and Miss McCabe were scanning the sides of the roadway along the drive looking for the victim while the defendant periodically screamed and texted on her phone as they drove. Miss Roberts described the weather as whiteout conditions as they were driving around. Okay, now again, I want you to put your thinking caps on and I want you to sort of go back in time, get in my little time machine and travel back in time to that night. And I want you to put yourself in those exact same circumstances. If Karen Reed's version of events is true, she just merely left the bar with John and dropped him off at an after party. And she herself drove away and went home to drink it off. Now, if you sleep it off. Now, if you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, is it reasonable that you're going to wake up and be hysterical and screaming and concocting all kinds of worst case scenarios in your mind? I mean, maybe she's a histrionic person. I don't know her, but
it's perfectly reasonable if that person is expected to be home. It's perfectly reasonable if she's intoxicated and irrational. It's perfectly reasonable to think so. I'm not saying her behavior was necessarily reasonable. I'm saying that it's reasonable to assume that that's why. I mean,
to me, that's not reasonable. To me, that behavior does not line up with her story. Her story is she dropped him off and watched him go inside. If you drop your boyfriend off and you watch him go inside a home and you both are drunk and you go home to sleep it off, are you going to wake up a mere 4 hours later and begin panicking and freaking out? No, a reasonable person is going to say, well, yeah, you probably went in and slept it off. Now, conversely, if the state's theory and the state's evidence proves Karen Reed is guilty of this, that behavior lines up far more with someone who, and let me posit a couple of different scenarios here. One scenario being she was drunk, but not too drunk to black out. And she knew what she did. They had a fight and she gunned her car as he was behind her and she hit him with her car, didn't go over him. I want to remind people, the state does not claim that she drove over him. The state's claim is that she hit him somehow with her vehicle. We know something happened with her vehicle because her taillight is broken. So she hit something with her taillight.
Right.
Taillight.
Yeah. Yeah, she hit John's car with her tail light because there's video of it and you can see John's car move when she backs up into John's car. It's on video, dude. Lady.
The defense tries to say that on her way to go look for John, she backed up into another vehicle and hit her taillight. But that remains to be seen if they can prove that. But there's microscopic pieces of taillight on John. So if you go outside and it's wet and you hear a rumble of thunder, you know it's just rained. May not be raining, but you know it rained. So this is the sort of common sense I'm asking you to use. So her behavior of being hysterical and histrionic and waking up 4 hours later is more in line with somebody who knows they did something and they're in the process of trying to cover it up, or they're in the process of trying to distance themselves. So two possible theories for me. She was drunk, but not too drunk that she blacked out and she knew she did something. She woke up and she had a memory of something. She had a memory of hitting. And this, by the way, is corroborated by her own father going on Dateline. Big mistake. Her own father went on Dateline and told Dateline that, oh yeah, she said she knew she hit something. She, quote, struck something.
Yeah. And I love that. I love how Twattendoffer puts this into perspective and like clips that little part. Like, well, yeah, the taillight. Maybe Karen was talking about that she hit something because her taillight was cracked. I mean, okay, William Glass, you need to stop talking in my chat before you get attacked by people. I'm trying to help you because you're saying one stupid thing after the other. Seriously. The Dateline episode had been out. It's been out for like a year at least. Maybe, what, almost 2 years?
So that's her own father saying that. She knew she struck something. So two possible scenarios. She's drunk, but not to the point of blackout and had some vestiges of memory of what happened just 4 hours prior. Or conversely, she woke up 4 hours later and had been in a blackout drunken rage when she reversed her car and hit her boyfriend. And she woke up and was in a state of panic that he wasn't there and maybe possibly had some fragments of memories of arguing with him. And this could be too, where her statements come in. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? See, I'm inclined to kind of give her the benefit of the doubt and go with maybe that whatever happened between her and John, she was blacked out. She didn't have malice and she may have backed up without meaning to hit him and then woke up the next morning and had these sort of fragmented memories of an altercation between the two of them before and felt horrible about it, felt horrible. But even me giving her that benefit of the doubt, she's kind of unwound that and undone that with her conduct over the past 2 years of allowing her lawyer, of not taking personal responsibility for this and allowing her lawyers to crucify and blame anyone and everyone that they possibly can, throwing mud against the wall. Her lawyers are blaming so many people. Even the judge called her lawyers out on it and said, who are you blaming? Who are you saying? Because unless you say who, the court can.
Right, because Judge Bev has just been this incredible voice of fairness throughout this entire thing. Auntie Bev has just been so nice. And I wonder if Canceled Karen knows that Colin Albert, not the owner of 34 Fairview Road, that's Brian, Colin Albert, who sits on the Canton Select Board, who's very powerful in Canton, killed a man. And Judge Cannoni's brother represented Colin Albert in that case. Okay.
Or cannot consider, whether it's remote, whether it was due to some bad blood in the past, or whether it's contemporary bad blood from that very evening. What is the motive? What is your...
Yeah, I'm stupid. I just made the same mistake she did. I said Colin and not Chris. Excuse me.
Proof of that? What is the evidence why they would want to assault this guy as soon as he came in the door and let their dog assault him and then drag him still alive out onto the front lawn to bleed and freeze to death with his phone in reach? They cannot give a specific person. They've blamed this teenager. They blamed a guy named Brian Higgins. They blamed Brian Albert. They have multiple people, but nobody specific. And that, folks, is what I call a smokescreen. Whereas alternatively, when you look at the state's case here, this is specific and they have this laid out in a very specific way with witness testimony. And, as with any trial, you need to wait, obviously, until people take the stand and you can gauge their believability. You can discern whether they appear to be telling the truth. Does their story stay the same? These people have not spoken publicly and they have not given interviews. So I have no evidence that their stories have changed from what is recorded in this PCA. Karen Reed, on the other hand, has
I mean,
had multiple different stories that she's told.
It might as well be Scott McGinnis.
And we're being told now that the niece will be taking the stand to testify to that Karen Reed had multiple different stories. So
how do you know that the niece is going to take the stand, that John O'Keefe's niece is going to take the stand? How do you know that? Where'd you get that information? Who told you that? I mean, where are you getting that information from?
So continuing on with the PCA, as they arrived in the area of 34 Fairview, Ms. Roberts stated that the defendant screamed, "There he is, I see him," from inside the vehicle and screamed to be let out. Even after initially exiting the vehicle, Ms. Roberts stated that she still could not see the victim in conditions and further stated that his body was covered in snow.
Yeah, I know she's on the witness list. It doesn't mean that she's going to take the stand, though. A lot of people are on the witness list, but it doesn't mean they're actually going to testify or they're going to be called to the stand. Dino's Ghost, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Now, remember, it was lightly snowing when Karen dropped him off, and then rapidly, I believe 16 or 18 inches fell. Now, if you live in a state that receives a lot of snowfall, and I do, that's a lot of snow. Like, that's a lot of snow. And depending on where that snow is falling, how heavy it is it falling on a grade? Is it falling in a ditch? Is it falling on your deck? Depending on where it's falling, it's deeper in some spots and more shallow in others. And we know that he was about 8 feet off the roadway on the lawn. So
12.
About the width of 2 sidewalks.
12.
On the lawn, on his back. It's conceivable that he had been covered in snow and had been laying there the entire time after the altercation with Karen. As for the snowplow driver not seeing him, if you have witnesses saying, "Look, when we pulled up, I didn't see him either."
I really hope that people who are subscribed to Canceled Karen's Patreon are listening to this. I really hope you are. Please tell me you are, because you need to know that you're wasting your money.
I don't know about snowplow drivers. Is he looking for a body? See, I take that with a grain of salt, because is he really out there looking for a body? No, he's out there plowing snow. So he's looking ahead of him. He's not necessarily looking 8 feet off the roadway. Furthermore, he's pushing more snow off to the side. He may have inadvertently covered John with even more snow as he was plowing. And furthermore, there's an area of trees or shrubbery that is sort of blocking from the direction the snowplow guy was coming, sort of blocking the view of where John's body was laying. So again, I take that with a grain of salt or a grain of snow, I should say, that he didn't see the body. Who's out looking for a body? That's not even going to be in your mind that you're going to be seeing a body. And ask any snowplow driver after they get done plowing for the night if they saw a trash can at any specific address. You know darn well the trash cans are out there. He's going to say, "No, I didn't see any trash can," because he's not looking for that. So I don't put a lot of stock into that, but a lot of hay, of course, has been made about that. Continuing on. She said the victim's body was approximately 12 feet from the roadway, so roughly about 8 to 12 feet. She observed him to have a swollen right eye.
You see how she tries to... you got to listen to the language, folks. She realizes that she didn't know what the fuck she was talking about, and then she saw that someone said, or she read somewhere all of a sudden, that it was actually 12 and not 8, and so she goes roughly 8 to 12 feet. Like, oh, like, I mean, it's that's
with a laceration above it, blood around his nose and mouth. Ms. Roberts stated that they immediately began CPR, and Ms. McCabe called 911. Ms. Roberts stated that she observed the victim to be lying on his back with his arms on his side. She noticed that his right eye was swollen shut and that there was blood coming from his nose and mouth. When the paramedics arrived and lifted the victim's body onto the stretcher, Ms. Roberts observed the grass beneath the victim's back, not covered in snow, as the remainder of the area was. Now, a lot of hay has been made too about, there was blood drops on top of the snow. Well, that could have happened when they were moving him. If you have a witness that says when his body was moved, and I'm going to assume that not just Ms. Roberts is going to testify this, but the paramedics as well. Well, when we pulled his body up off the ground, there was grass underneath there, or grass covered in light snow, because we know that the cause of death is not only from the skull fracture, but also hypothermia, because his pancreas was darkened red, which indicates that he slowly froze to death, this poor guy. If you are going to have multiple witnesses saying they saw snow, that's another piece of anecdotal evidence that tells you his body was laying there prior to the bulk of the snow, the blizzard coming down. Remember, again, it was lightly snowing at or about midnight, and then the snow picked up pace. The defendant repeatedly asked Miss Roberts, Miss McCade, and the officers and paramedics on the scene, "Is he dead?" repeating that phraseology numerous times to each. The defendant further grabbed Miss Roberts by the arm at one point and asked her if they were really working on John or was he already dead. In addition, Trooper Bacanic interviewed Nicholas and
Don't forget that almost even before Jennifer or before Karen Reed even got to John's body and started working on him, Jennifer McCabe was telling the 911 operator that she thinks he's dead. She didn't even get out of the car. And Jennifer McCabe is telling the 911 operator that she thinks that John O'Keefe is dead. Doesn't identify him as a police officer. Refers to him as a guy who's passed out and then says, "I think he's dead," almost in the same breath. Okay.
And Karina Kolakaitis both were present with the group at the waterfall on the evening of January 28th. They arrived there at approximately 9 to 9:30 p.m., respectively, as they came in separate cars following their daughter's high school basketball game. They had known the victim for approximately 5 to 6 years and had met the defendant a handful of times. They stated that the victim and defendant arrived.
Right. She also somehow knew, Jennifer McCabe also somehow knew that he had been out there about an hour. She had no idea where he was. But he had been out there about an hour. Why would she tell the 911 operator that? Super chat. It's super chat, Stephen O'Connell. See? Look.
I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat.
Yeah, Stephen O'Connell, he says, "I think we got a super chat." Like, I could see Cuck Church doing that in his video. It was really funny. So when I saw this, I was dying laughing. I was like, that's my new super chat indicator there.
Arrived at the waterfall together at approximately 11 p.m.
What's up,
arriving
Scott?
from CF McCarthy's across the street. Mrs. Kolakaitis spoke for a period of time with the defendant and observed her to be drinking vodka soda cocktails while at the bar. She also recalled the defendant pushing quite a bit for a member of the group, Christopher Albert, the owner of a local pizza shop, to go across the street after leaving the bar to keep partying while he made pies for everyone. Now, if you will recall from our sort of family tree, Chris Albert is the brother of Brian Albert, who's the homeowner. When it was time to leave, Mrs. Kolakaitis indicated that she walked outside with Miss McCabe and observed the victim and the defendant walk out together and proceed to the left of the driveway and up Washington Street, where their vehicle was parked along the curb, facing back up toward the waterfall. Mrs. Kolakaitis indicated that her vehicle was also parked along Washington Street, but further down and facing the opposite direction. From there, she observed the defendant walking toward the driver's side door of her black Lexus SUV. She further indicated that during the course of her conversation that evening with the defendant complained about the victim's mother and the lack of private time the couple had for vacations because of the children, their activities and responsibilities. She also described her as fine and did not believe the defendant to be overly intoxicated. Now, on January 30th, troopers Bacanic, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Proctor. So this is where Proctor comes in. Interviewed Canton firefighter Katie McLaughlin. She had been assigned to Station 1 on the
You're not pronouncing it right. It's actually Bukaki, but go ahead.
29th, and indicated that at approximately 6 a.m., Canton Fire and EMS had been dispatched to 34 Fairview Road for a male party in the snow and unresponsive. Upon arrival, Miss McLaughlin observed the victim to have trauma to his face and eye area and vomit in his mouth. She observed the victim to be dressed in jeans, socks, and one black Nike sneaker. The victim's shirts were cut and his chest exposed for chest compressions. Ms. McLaughlin had exited the ambulance to speak with the defendant as to the victim's identity and medical history. The defendant provided the victim's name and date of birth. Ms. McLaughlin asked the defendant if she knew where the victim had suffered the trauma to his face and eye, and the defendant turned to her friend and stated repeatedly, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," in response to the paramedic's question. Following their initial witness interviews on January 29th, Trooper Bacanic and Proctor then proceeded to the Good Samaritan to view the victim. They observed 6 bloodied lacerations varying in length on his right arm. The cuts extended from his forearm to his bicep. Both of the victim's eyes were swollen shut and black and blue in color. The troopers observed a cut to the right eyelid area of the victim. The victim's clothing, consisting of blue jeans, an orange t-shirt, a long sleeve gray shirt, and boxer shorts, were soaking wet and saturated with blood and vomit. The victim was also observed to have one black Nike sneaker with a white.
And the victim was also observed, which is not in there, to be wearing a belt in the security camera footage that everyone likes to refer to. as proof that she drank 7 drinks in a short period of time. I mean, but he was wearing a belt. Where's the belt? Where's the belt? Cancel, Karen.
White logo on.
I mean, you're
the
leaving out
side.
a lot.
So what's interesting about this to me is that just per this probable cause affidavit, and we don't have testimony yet from the medical examiner who first laid eyes on him in a professional manner and did the actual autopsy, the actual forensic work on his body. Just based on this probable cause affidavit, it appears as though the majority of his injuries were on the right side of his body. You have the right eye, the right arm, and potentially, I don't know, but potentially maybe the right sneaker being missing. So it's going to be interesting when the trial begins and we get to hear from the medical examiner what the full spectrum of injuries are, because I'm seeing a lot of people on social media claiming the autopsy photos were released. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know who they were released by. I doubt by the medical examiner. So that tells me right there that they were improperly released. So I don't know if they're the autopsy photos because
100%, Benjamin John. 100%. She does not have the spreadsheet. She did not do her due diligence. Big shocker. And she actually used to be pretty good about that. But nope.
because in one, it shows him in a neck brace. And I don't know if they do that during an autopsy. And another shows his arm with these, what appear to be abrasions or scrapes, these sort of linear, they're sort of linear and they're not evenly spaced scrapes. They don't, to me, not dog related at all. They don't look like any sort of dog injury I've ever seen, but the other side claims they're from a dog. But
no.
It appears to be injuries on his right side. I don't know if those autopsy photos. I don't know when they were taken. I don't know who they were taken by. I don't know who released them. I don't know for what purpose they were released. I don't know if they were allowed to be released. I've just sort of.
Hilsey, if I had a nickel for every time I heard a woman say that, I'm totally kidding.
I've not given them a lot of weight at this time because I'm not a medical examiner. I don't have the authority to look at those pictures and say proof positive or definitively whether they're dog, the abrasions or scrapes on his arm are dog related. I don't have the authority to do that. I don't have the authority to just look at those 2 or 3 pictures.
We got a super dad, super dad, super dad, super dad, I think we got a super dad.
Okay, all right. And some guy with cancer. Oh my God. Did Cancel Karen get this from one of her sources? More than likely. And no song. Don Vito song. Give Grandmaster Sid and I some Tom Hardy. Oh, you got it.
Shut your fucking mouth! No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt! Shut it!
Shut it! There you guys go. I'll even throw in a pen.
You need to shut the fuck up.
And tell you exactly what happened to him. I can't look at those 2 or 3 pictures and say, yep, he was in a fight. He was in a fight with Colin Albert and Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, beat the crap out of him and let the dog chew on his arm. And then they dumped him on the lawn. I don't know how anybody presumes to have the authority to do that. Nobody does.
I could look at it and go, a car didn't do that shit. That's how it boils down. Canceled Karen. I hope you're listening. It boils down like this. A car didn't do it. So whatever happened in that house did it. If the car didn't do it, you got to point your eyes towards 34 Fairview Road on the night, early morning hours of January 29th, 2022.
Unless you're an investigator on this specific case, an expert hired to opine about this specific case, or you're the medical examiner on this specific case.
You mean like the independent federal investigator with 3 PhDs who came to this conclusion? You mean like that kind of expert? I don't know. Gee, maybe. I don't know.
As usual, I see a lot of people crowing and acting like they know what happened to this guy just by looking at those few pictures and just by reading what few details have been revealed regarding the nature and spectrum of his injuries. You know, it's like giving people 10 pieces of a 100-piece puzzle. And then people act like they know it all. You can't possibly, especially when it comes to stuff like this, forensics and stuff that has to be testified to by an expert. You can't possibly know it all. So to wed and marry yourself to either side at this point, to the point where you're standing on courthouse steps, screaming at this officer's family, carrying signs,
don't shit
wearing
talk my
pink,
people.
proclaiming her factually innocent, which is preposterous. Or conversely, to be strongly on the other side. She's guilty, she's guilty, she's guilty. She's
Factually innocent.
the presumption of innocence at this point. To be on either side is an error. Where you should be is taking in the available information, parsing out in your mind, like that bento box that I always talk about, compartmentalizing the facts from the gossip, from the myths, and the fiction. And then using your own common sense and your own reason. And don't allow anybody else to do the thinking for you. I mean, I guess if you feel you absolutely must, go listen to a law.
Yeah, if you must, then let me do the thinking for you. And if you're in one of my Facebook groups, if you say anything that is in disagreement with me, I boot you and block you. If you must.
To a law tuber or go listen to some know nothing, then go ahead and do that. But never let that override your common sense and your...
Okay, no, that's not Blowhard Betty. As much as I hate to admit it, this person is actually significantly smarter than Blowhard Betty. Believe it or not.
Your reason and your own sense of rationality. Because I see people going way off in the weeds in areas they don't have any authority to. You're not medical examiners. Not a single one of you are, that have decided she's, quote, factually innocent.
Right. So explain to me why the Norfolk County District Attorney took it upon himself to say things like these things as fact. I mean, explain to me why he went on TV and he makes this video that is unprecedented and is the first of its kind, because this has to stop. It's got to stop. Yeah, she's trying to kiss Twattendoffer's ass is basically what she's doing. She's trying to kiss Twattendoffer's ass, hoping to warm up to her, and in Canceled Karen's fantasy world, she's going to be on court TV right next to Twattendoffer and taking on all of the what does she like to call them? What does she used to call them, Cherry? Peasants. Yes, because she considered herself a queen. And anybody who disagreed with her was considered a peasant.
So it will be interesting once the testimony starts and we actually have a medical examiner giving the full spectrum of injuries and explaining them. Because I don't know how you can take that 10 pieces of a puzzle, put it all together in your mind and make a 100-piece puzzle and say, well, without a shadow of a doubt, it wasn't caused by a car. And no doubt her side is going to have their own expert to say, well, these injuries, in my opinion, don't look caused by a car. But the state is also going to have their own expert. And so it's going to be one of those where it's the dueling experts. I mean, we see that all the time in these cases. But again, I go back to, if you step outside and it's soaking wet and you hear a rumble of thunder in the distance, your brain knows it just rained. You know darn well that it's not soaking wet outside.
Okay. Yeah. Because it just rained because you heard rumbling, not because the ground is wet. Right? I mean, see, this is what she's trying to do. She's trying to build up to the possibility. This is what she's doing. She's trying to build up. And I don't know, did it rain that night? Or did it just snow? Somebody want to tell me? I don't have the weather report in front of me. Somebody posted it on Twitter. And I don't remember where I saw that. Oh my God, it would take me forever to find it. But yeah. Yeah, it was okay. So I'm seeing a lot of different people. Some are saying no rain, some people are saying just snow. Right. Too cold for rain. Right. Oh, thanks, Edward. Appreciate you. You're cool too, man.
Side because of some conspiracy. Somebody came and threw water on your lawn to make you think it was raining outside. Just you have to use common
No,
sense.
Melissa, nobody knows who she is, and it's great.
Continuing on, the victim's medical records were admitted as an exhibit before the grand jury in this matter as well. Throughout said medical records, the attending physician and medical personnel described the victim's injuries at length. Said description of his injuries and medical conditions include right superior orbital ridge region, approximately 7 millimeter laceration, surrounding soft tissue swelling and contusion.
Okay, this is an easy fix. Weather conditions in, let me do this before I spill my coffee. Canton, Massachusetts. Oh no. On January 29th, 2022. Let's see. At 1:54 a.m., let's see. Dew point, humidity, wind, 8 miles per hour. Doesn't say. Let me try another one. Let's do 28th. Overcast. Let's see. Humidity. Nothing about rain here. Okay. No, that's the 20. That's the 20. No, okay, hold on. That's not right. Yeah, there's nothing about rain here. Just snow. Yeah, 18 degrees. Why is it showing me 2024? Even though I clicked on. Oh, here we go. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's. Let's check 28th. Hold on. I mean, folks. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. January 28th, 2022. As you can see, hold on, let me enlarge it for you. And let me take myself off of this here just so you can see it clearly. There's nothing about rain here on the 28th. So nothing. Evening 30. Yeah, I mean 70% humidity. And then there's the 29th. And then we got to scroll all the way down to 2022. There it is, January 29th, 2022 in Canton, Massachusetts. No rain. So it didn't rain at all. So I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. It didn't rain. January 29th, 2022. Or on the 28th, on the late hours of I mean, it didn't happen. It was too cold to rain. Right. I mean, so wow.
breath sounds bilaterally, pulseless, superficial abrasions, right arm. They're called abrasions. Time of death is noted at 7:50 a.m. Likely it was before that. And they
Yeah.
just
So what
made
she's
that
trying
call
to
because
do,
that's when they
is set up for him. She's trying to set up for an explanation of why his head was cracked in the back from hitting the ground. So he must have hit ice, because even canceled Karen knows that cold ground isn't going to do that. She lives in Michigan. So even she knows that cold ground is not going to be hard enough for your head to crack. So yeah. But she's trying to set it up and make it look to her audience that that there was ice, and that's how his head cracked. But she hasn't gotten there yet. But I know how she thinks, and I know how she operates, and that's exactly what she's trying to do. But sorry, canceled Karen. Didn't happen. It didn't rain. So yeah. And where was the blood? Right. Where was the blood? Where's all the blood that he lost? What was it, like 3 liters, something like that? 2 liters, 3 liters? But there was only 6 droplets.
when they had him on the table in the triage. So they're the experts.
3
The
liters.
medical examiner is using that term, superficial abrasions. Superficial meaning they're on the surface and they're abrasions, not dog bites, not gouges. And furthermore, they had these abrasions tested for non-human DNA and there was none. So
No, they
to me,
didn't.
I've completely
No, they
eliminated
didn't.
blaming the dog. I think that. And furthermore, they had these abrasions tested for non-human DNA and there was none. So
No, canceled Karen. They never even took samples of his abrasions to test them. So you're just on a roll with spitting out misinformation, aren't you? I mean, they didn't even sample those abrasions. That's not suspicious? Because even canceled Karen knows that it's pretty suspicious. She would have to even admit that it's pretty suspicious that a police officer who is dead under suspicious circumstances, they're going to, I mean, under any other circumstance, they're going to test everything. They're going to sample every abrasion, every wound, every little, I mean, as little as a paper cut, they're going to examine and test. They're going to sample and test. They did not even take samples of his abrasions. This is a fact. Do your homework. Stop listening to Twattendorfer. She's an idiot.
To me, I've completely eliminated blaming the dog. I think that's ridiculous, preposterous. I think it smacks of desperation.
It would be preposterous if there was anything to what you've been saying. It would be preposterous if anything you were saying was true, but none of it's true. So you're just wrong. I mean, I don't know if you're wrong or
You're lying. And you're a piece of shit.
I mean, yeah, that's probably the case, yeah.
Desperation, and to me, that the defense team would even blame a dog. You know, ridiculous. On January 31st, Dr. Irene Scorti-Bello from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner conducted the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe. The doctor advised the troopers that she observed several abrasions to the victim's right forearm, 2 swollen black eyes, a small cut above the right eye, a cut to the left side of the nose, an approximately 2-inch laceration to the back right of his head, and multiple skull fractures that resulted in bleeding of the brain. Dr. Scorti-Bello further advised the troopers that the victim's pancreas was dark red in color, indicating hyperthermia was a contributing factor to his death. Dr. Scorti-Bello opined from her medical examination that the significant blunt force trauma injuries occurred.
I mean, I'm telling you, yeah, I know. I like the lawyer, you know. And I like who's the other one that's going to jump on this bandwagon too? Emily Baker. I like them both. But yeah, it wasn't safe. Now it's safe, you know, for the bigger channels to cover this case. Now it's safe. It wasn't safe before, but now it's safe. Very convenient.
Prior to John O'Keefe becoming hypothermic. as evidenced by hemorrhaging in his pancreas and stomach. Mr. O'Keefe had arrived at the Good Samaritan
And
Medical.
by the way, you're welcome. And yeah, you can thank Turtleboy, by the way, for that.
Center with a body temperature reading in the low 80s. So that's like 18 degrees below the norm. The doctor opined that the extensive injuries to his head likely rendered Mr. O'Keefe incapacitated. The doctor further opined that upon viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries and her examination of the body, she observed no signs of Mr. O'Keefe being involved in any type of physical altercation or fight. In addition, Dr. Scorti-Bello testified extensively regarding her examination and findings before the grand jury. And in her testimony, the doctor described the medical definitions.
Let's see if she omits the word undetermined.
Of a laceration, a contusion, and an abrasion, as well as the differences between the three. The doctor testified that the victim had abrasions on his right arm. She described abrasions as scratches caused by a blunt object, contact with a blunt object. She went on to describe them as a cluster of them on his right upper arm and his right forearm, mostly linear and ranging in size from a few millimeters up to 7 centimeters. Dr. Scorti-Bello testified that throughout her thorough external examination of the victim's body, she observed no signs of an altercation or fight. The doctor also testified extensively to the injuries or swelling of the victim's eyes. Dr. Scorti-Bello testified that from her examination of the victim, both external and internal, that the bleeding and subsequent swelling around his eyes was related to very small fractures in the skull. She testified specifically that, quote, the injury initiated or started in the back of the head and caused all of the fractures in the skull. And then the eyes got red or black or purple because of the seepage of blood from the small blood vessels. The neuropathology report completed by Dr. Renee Stonebridge, also of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, are consistent with Dr. Scorti-Bello's findings. So essentially, and I've talked about this before when we talked about Jean Benet's head injuries. Now, Jean Benet was a child and her skull would have been a little bit more delicate than a grown man's, but it's essentially the same principle. The skull is kind of like an eggshell. When it gets hit hard enough, it can cause these little fractures to form due to the original sutures. Okay, when you're born, you have sutures and you have a fontanelle in the center of your head, and those sutures that is to help your skull grow as you grow. Right, it has room for growth. It's these growth plates in the skull. So oftentimes, as a result of that, the skull, when hit hard enough, will form little fractures like an eggshell. At approximately 4:30 p.m. on January 29th, troopers Bacanic and Proctor arrived at a residence in Dighton, Massachusetts, the home of the defendant's parents. Upon their arrival, they observed a large black Lexus SUV registered to the defendant, parked outside the garage door in the driveway to the home. The troopers observed the right rear passenger side taillight to be shattered and a large red piece of plastic to be missing from the taillight. The troopers were invited into the home and observed the defendant seated on the living room couch.
Yeah, I'm going to limit the super chat dance only because I want to get through this.
Agreed to speak with
and
the
there's a lot to go through.
The defendant indicated to the troopers that she had met the victim at C.F. McCarthy's bar in Canton at approximately 9 p.m. the evening prior. The victim had been there with friends prior to her arrival. She stated that the victim was drinking beers and he was drinking vodka sodas. She described the glassware she was drinking out as a vase style. The defendant stated that she and the victim left C.F. McCarthy's and went to the waterfall, but denied that she had any drink from one bar to the next. She stated that they were at the waterfall for approximately an hour, and during that time, there were no arguments amongst anyone present there. When she and the victim were leaving the waterfall, she stated they were invited to a house on Fairview Road. The defendant stated that she had dropped the victim off at the house on Fairview and went home since she was having stomach issues at the previous bar. The defendant stated that she dropped the victim off, then made a 3-point turn in the street and left. She stated that she did not see the victim enter the residence. The defendant indicated that she first observed the broken taillight in the morning and did not know how she had broken it the previous evening. The victim was uninjured when she dropped him off at the house. However, when she discovered him the next morning, she observed him lying face up, snow on his legs, his eyes swollen. And
yeah, Regina, trust me, you want me playing this at a faster speed, I promise.
Blood coming from his nose and mouth. She stated that she began providing him mouth to mouth. The defendant further stated that she had attempted to contact the victim throughout the night, calling and texting him numerous times with no response. She stated that they had a verbal argument that morning over what the defendant fed the victim's niece for breakfast. The troopers further asked the defendant for contact information relating to the people she had indicated were present at the bars. The defendant obliged, and prior to providing said information, the troopers observed the defendant enter a numerical passcode into her phone to unlock it prior to retrieving said data. The black Lexus SUV was seized from the driveway of the defendant's parents' home in Dighton on January 29th. The vehicle was then transported via tow to the Canton Police Department. On February 1st, members of the Massachusetts State Police Crime Scene Services Section, a crime lab chemist, and Trooper Joseph Paul of the Massachusetts State Police Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Section responded to the department. They observed fragments of broken glass on the rear bumper of the vehicle. The right rear passenger side taillight was shattered and pieces were observed missing from the red and clear areas. On the right side of the rear taillight, a deep scratch and minor dent were observed. On the right side of the rear bumper, above a small red light, 2 scratches were observed as well as one area where the paint was chipped off. Troopers from the CARS unit performed a rapid acceleration, forward and reverse tests with the vehicle and noted no deficiencies with the vehicle's braking system or other operations. The troopers placed a training figure resembling a human, approximately 6 feet in height, behind the Lexus. The vehicle was operated by a cars trooper and documented with video from the crime scene. The vehicle was placed in reverse and started to travel toward the training figure.
Oh,
The rear view
wow.
camera within the vehicle was operating properly.
Stephanie gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to read these off. Congrats to Supermax Captain, Melanie, Jimmy James, Tom Gillis Golf Instruction, Hatshepsutska, Unfiltered Kelly, Red X730, Val Casagranda, Alligator, Anne Marie. Congrats, guys, and thank you so much, Stephanie. You are always so generous. I really appreciate it. Amazing, Stephanie. Amazing. Oh, my God. Where is that? We got to give you a round of applause for that one. If I can. Yeah, there we go.
Displayed on a screen in the center of the dashboard and provided a 360-degree overhead visual. As the Lexus traveled closest to the figure, both auditory and visual cues within the vehicle sounded off, indicating an obstruction to the rear. In addition, forensic scientist Maureen Hartnett responded to the Canton Police Department that date and took samples from the Lexus. She observed damage to the rear of the vehicle on the passenger side, including a dent with chipped paint in the trunk door, a broken taillight, and scratches on the bumper. An apparent hair was noted on the rear passenger side quarter panel. Said apparent hair has been subsequently forensically tested and confirmed as human hair. Apparent glass was also noted on the rear bumper. Also on January 29th, the Massachusetts State Police Special Emergency.
And yeah, you're also overlooking the fact that this hair and the test for the DNA on this hair still doesn't seem to have been conducted. At least it doesn't matter. It should be considered unconducted because the fact is they haven't shared. The prosecution hasn't shared this with the results with the defense. And it's been 2 years. And Judge Beverly Cannoni ordered them to share this with the defense and still have not complied. And have not been reprimanded in any way, shape, or form by the judge. Interesting. Yeah, the hair is a mystery. And the hair doesn't mean shit. I mean, I love that. I love how if this hair comes back and it belongs to John O'Keefe and it's tested, again, people, it was his girlfriend's car, dude. Like, you never took groceries out of your significant other's car? Out of the trunk? Never did that? Nobody did that? Nobody's ever done that? I mean, hair falls off all the time. Hair could have fallen off his shirt that fell off of his head an hour before that, a day before that. Who knows? I mean, the hair could be Karen's for all we know. I mean, it's not crazy that there was a human hair found on the bumper of a car. It is not crazy at all. I mean, so let me get this straight. I mean, that still implies that John O'Keefe was hit in the head by the taillight. I mean, it still implies this, which I find fascinating. I mean, because there's only one thing, people, that makes any sense. There's only one thing that makes any sense. Okay? Only one explanation that makes any sense at all whatsoever when it comes to how John O'Keefe could have been hit in the head by this taillight. There's only one way. I think you guys know. I think you guys know. I think you guys know. There's only one way. Only one way, folks. That's the only logical explanation. People, clearly, that's got to be what happened. Oh my God! Canceled Karen. Just stop. Just quit already.
The response team
Give up on your dreams.
was activated to assist in searching for possible evidence outside of 34 Fairview Road. Members from the CERT team located a black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo along the side, matching the one worn by the victim at the time his body was discovered. In the same area where the body had been recovered, 2 red plastic pieces of taillight were located, consistent to the pieces from the defendant's black Lexus. 1 piece of clear plastic taillight was located in the same area as well, also consistent with the broken taillight of the Lexus. The CERT team discovered these items after digging through the still falling snow. On January 31st, investigators observed video from the Ring cameras affixed to 1 Meadows Avenue, the residence of John O'Keefe. The video was observed by utilizing the Ring application on the victim's cell phone. The data in the application showed that 2 cameras are connected on the victim's account under his email. The 2 cameras cover the front door and the driveway to the home. From 6 p.m. on January.
Okay, that's enough of that. I'm just going to. I want to like just get through this because I'm not trying to go through this whole goddamn thing.
Welcome to my guest.
Okay, so who the fuck is this guy?
All right. Welcome to my guest. Okay, so I just want to make sure that people can see me on Rumble. Nelson, did you have a chance to see if it's actually streaming on Rumble?
I believe it is, because the last time I did,
yeah, it should be on there because somebody messaged me and said they didn't see it, but it should be. I should be live on there. I guess I could go. Can you refresh the Rumble and see, Nelson, if it's on there? Can you not do it from your phone?
Oh my God, bro.
I don't want to mess anything up with the feed here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, way to treat your guest right off the bat. Like, put them to work. That's fucking great.
All right, well then let's not do that. We're just gonna hope and pray because I just don't know if Rumble comments will necessarily show up.
Yeah.
On StreamYard, and I'm not seeing them. At the very worst case scenario, I believe I can load this video.
Does anybody know who the fuck this guy is?
It says on my end, it says it is. Let me see. You are live. View on Rumble.
Yep, there you go.
No, it should be appearing now. And I'm a Rumble baby. Like I haven't done anything in so long. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience before we get to the points that we want to make, and maybe just tell everyone a little bit about you, and then tell everybody about how long that you've been invested in following this case.
Well, my name is Nelson. I'm streaming live from Fall River. I graduated from college, my bachelor's degree, and just an everyday citizen living every day as they come. And in regards to this case,
a bachelor's degree in what?
I have been following it for quite some time. And I really waited until, I would say, probably almost close to trial to really form an opinion because I wanted to wait till more information came about. And boy, I'm glad I did because
that's smart.
There's a lot to unpack, obviously. But I want to say, good job on setting the table for
not a good
what this case is. And then for the audience, I have some videos, short videos that Kay is going to show that really is going to prove that before his body was discovered, that's where I came from. I'm not coming after the fact. I'm coming before. And as we go by this piece by piece, it's really going to open people's eyes that she just didn't plan it, or I think she didn't plan it well to take the heat off of her because it's so obvious. All the stuff I have posted in the page, it's so obvious that she is guilty. And when we go through this through these videos, that people are going to see what I see. Because again, you see, they wanted to give us the Hollywood explanation, the Hollywood movie script. Mr. Jackson, he comes from that area. So
I can't fucking wait for this. This is just gonna be fucking great. Oh my goodness, this is just gonna be fucking fantastic.
Stop, right, Charlie? Oh, you popped. You're gonna be famous. Here it is. Stop. This is
putting 2 and 2 together. But you see, when this case starts, that's when the Hollywood movie script comes to an end, because we're going to see the real evidence. And with what I have to say today, it's going to make for a very fascinating show.
Yeah, and I really want people to keep an open mind about what your views are in terms of what you believe you're seeing in terms of the evidence and the things that have been said publicly. In Fall River is there in Massachusetts, right?
Yes, yes.
And you don't know anybody. It's not like you know anybody personally involved. You don't know the Alberts, correct?
Nope. I am not affiliated with anyone in this case. I'm just somebody from the outside looking in, and I have no affiliation.
Right. You're what I would call an observer. See, most of us are observers. Most of us are not personally invested or personally involved. The vast majority of us are people that are just observing this. So we're kind of all on the same playing field. We don't have any, and that goes for other content creators, YouTubers, law tubers, all of these people, they're on the same playing field as us. They're simply observing and then offering their
You're not even near my league.
Opinions, their outlook, their interpretation of the evidence that's been released to the public, to include the probable cause affidavit.
Yep.
And the defense hasn't put out any real evidence. They've put out claims. They've put out accusations.
Well, there's two really good reasons for that canceled, Karen. Well, A, trial hasn't started yet. So why would they present actual evidence at just a motions hearing, which is all we've had so far, as motions hearings and jury selection. So you wouldn't see any evidence from the defense. Second reason is, when it comes to the law and due process, okay, the burden of proof isn't on the defense. They just have to prove doubt. They just have to show that there is doubt. That's it. And there is plenty of it. We barely even scratched the surface as far as how much doubt is in this case.
They haven't really released any evidence. Well, because we haven't had a trial. We're about to. We're on the
There
eve of
you
it.
go.
Do you think that they're going to start tomorrow with opening statements, or do you think it won't be until Wednesday?
Well, a new development came about with this. It looks like we might have this case start next Monday. She wants more jurors to be on reserves, and so they're going to go through Wednesday and Friday. But then again, I could be wrong, but that's what I read. If this goes to Friday, and if everything is good on Friday, then we're looking at Monday with opening statements.
Okay, well, I want to jump right into the evidence that is been hotly contested. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking for, do you remember those screenshots I showed you of Jennifer McCabe's Google search?
Yes.
I can't find them, and unfortunately, I don't have them. And I apologize if you hear my puppy barking, but it's going to kind of be par for the course.
This was pre-recorded, I think, either yesterday or the day before, so they don't really know. This isn't live, and this wasn't today, so
no worries.
My son got tired of watching her. Hey, shh, shh. And telling her shh never works. But we have this. Let's jump right into that first hotly contested piece of evidence, which is that Google search. All right, hang on. Sorry, hang on. All right, let's jump into that Google search. Okay?
I'm sorry, I had to rehome my dog. Sorry.
The contention by the defense is that Jennifer McCabe, and as I just read in the probable cause affidavit, Jennifer McCabe is the person that Karen Reed, either Karen called her or Karen had the child call her. Are you aware of John's niece having any relationship with Jennifer McCabe?
From what I've read, is that on the night in question, when she woke up and didn't find John home, she woke up his niece, who was 14 years old at the time. It is alleged that when Karen was on the phone with Jennifer, being all frantic on the phone, his niece said that while on the phone, Karen, her story switched.
Didn't Jennifer McCabe's kids play with John O'Keefe's regularly? Weren't they friends?
Several times in one conversation. Now, I want to give shout out to his niece, because that takes a lot of courage to come out. And my question is, if or when she does testify, is Karen's legal team going to put his niece in the circle of the bogus conspiracy? I don't think so.
Well,
she was there right next to that conversation, and she's.
So let me get this straight. You all are hanging on the idea that John O'Keefe's niece is going to be the smoking gun. Her testimony is going to be the smoking gun, right? Well, riddle me this. Why is it that the victim's advocate, that is more than likely the victim's advocate who is probably speaking for this child, why the prosecution is trying to block them from testifying? Wonder why that is. Because her niece probably is not going to testify. His niece probably is not going to testify. More than likely, since she's a minor, they're going to avoid putting her on the stand as much as possible. That's usually what happens when it comes to children. I don't know why you're acting like the niece is the smoking gun testimony that we're probably never even going to hear. And the person who is qualified and assigned to speak for the niece, the prosecution's trying to block their testimony from happening. Why would that happen if they're hanging their whole case on the niece of John O'Keefe? Explain that shit.
She said her story changed several times in one conversation before she left. That is so bizarre.
Was there any relationship though? But did, like, when Karen had the niece call, why did the niece know Jennifer McCabe at all that you are aware of prior to that night?
I mean, she's
Well,
on the
I would think so
list.
in a way, because how
She's on the witness list, but nobody. Okay, it's a bad. There is no case where they want to put a minor on a child or on the stand. Sorry, on the stand. They don't want to do that. Both the prosecution and the defense will always try to avoid that, because if that goes awry, there's no way to really prep a child to testify on the stand. They'll only put a child on the stand if it is absolutely necessary, because it's a bad look if that shit goes bad. It's a bad look to the jury if that shit goes bad. That's gonna be a last resort, putting that child on the stand. They would be foolish to put that child on the stand.
How could she not know Jennifer? Like, I mean, they were together for quite some time, for whatever time frame that they were together. So I would assume that they all knew each other, and I would think, how could they not know each other?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm not so sure. Like, if I was dating a guy with kids, would his kids necessarily know all his friends or all my friends? I mean, why did she have the niece make this call?
That is the thing. It's like, all of her actions, you have to ask why. I mean,
why can't she pick up her own dang phone and call Jennifer McCabe?
Exactly. She knows the number.
So not only did she have her niece call this.
How do you know she knows the number? Where did you get that information? That Karen Reed had Jennifer McCabe's contact information. There's nothing that says that. There's nothing that says that. There were no calls that were placed between Karen Reed's phone and Jennifer McCabe's phone. We have Jennifer McCabe's call logs. So that's why it makes perfect sense that she would have John O'Keefe's niece call Jennifer McCabe, because John O'Keefe's niece is already familiar with Jennifer McCabe. They had play dates with her kids together, supposedly. So, yeah, she probably had her number. She probably had her contact information. And it's more likely that she would have it than Karen Reed would have it. So why are they not even exploring that? Well, because it's not convenient for their narrative.
Jennifer McCabe, which let's just give the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, the niece knows Jennifer McCabe. Still, it's 4:30 in the morning. Why is she having the niece call her? And then furthermore, why is she having somebody else do a Google search? So we're going to tackle number 4 on our bullet point list, because we have 8 points of contention. We're going to go through all of these 8 points of contention that have been raised by
Why is she having someone else do the Google search? See, that I agree with you. That's a great question to ask. Why did Karen Reed have someone else do the Google search? Probably because she didn't have Jen McCabe do the Google search. Probably because Jen McCabe is fucking lying. Probably because Jen McCabe made this Google search to cover up the Google search that she placed before at 2:27 a.m.
Reed's defense and the conspiracy theorists, the vast conspiracy theorists.
And do you have the video? Do you have the video that I sent you where Vinny brings on the former FBI special agent and expert in cell phone searches? She gives everyone the non-technical explanation.
All right, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we show that one first?
The non-technical explanation.
So,
and the reason why I say that is because everyone's not well versed with the technical side, and that's why she gave the non-technical side. Because I believe during trial you're going to get both explanations. Because again, the jury, you want to explain everything in detail. You just can't explain things in one way. So you want to get the technical side as to how the error occurred and all the information about.
Or Benjamin John, or they know about it and are just deliberately leaving it out. I don't think that Canceled Karen knows anything about the motions hearings. I don't think that she's even familiarized herself with what's taken place in these motions hearings.
In the background, but then you give the non-technical side to make it easier for people to understand. And it was during that interview that really explained what went on with that Google search.
okay, I'm going to try to pull up the exact one, and it's the Court TV one, right?
Yep.
So it's 12311, 12311. Is it this one? Can you see the screen?
Yes, that is the one. Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, I love that Vinny was wearing pink, and I love that Vinny is on Team Karen Reed right now. That's great. I love that. What I don't like is Vinny making a shit ton of money off of painting a narrative that a missing boy's parents are responsible for his disappearance with absolutely no evidence. And he was making a shit ton of money, which I even gave him money to just to ask him the question. But he was getting super chats from Emily Baker. He was getting super chats from Duty Ron. Everybody was just like, yeah, what about these people? Oh my God, they went shopping for a motorcycle when they should be looking for their daughter, blah, 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 or their son, blah, 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 blah.
Hold up with that. We're going to get to the Jimmy Duggan. We're not going to be quiet. If it is, we got it.
It's so bizarre.
It is so bizarre.
It's so bizarre.
Okay. Chaos outside of that courthouse, right? It's in like a relatively small town, Dedham, Massachusetts. But the man leading
Bro, what kind of format is this, dude? Like, Jesus.
all of that is a guy named
Maybe we could just pull that shit up on YouTube, right?
Turtleboy. Had him on my show. And he's kind of got hooked on this case when he learned about one specific fact that the defense was alleging here. And that fact was about a Google search that was done. Alan Jackson, okay, the attorney for Karen Reed, was on our program. The defense team was on our program and talked to us. And I asked him about this Google search. Here's what they said.
Why is Jennifer McCabe one of the parties that was inside the house that night, the sister-in-law of Brian Albert? Why was she Google searching? How long does it take for a human body to die in the cold? The Apple Cocoa core data indicates, or the core time indicates exactly what time that Google search occurred. That time was at 2:27 and 40 seconds in the morning on January 29th. That's 3.5 hours before John O'Keefe's body was found.
Okay, that's powerful, right? You can see why that would strike people and say, well, wait a minute. Why are you Googling that if the body hasn't been found? Obviously, these people are up to no good inside the party. So it all has to do with this timestamp. And it seems like this is going to be fought inside the courtroom, what the actual timestamp is, because prosecutors are not agreeing with that time. Take a look here. This is the Commonwealth's memorandum that they filed. And what they've said about this whole issue is that the Commonwealth ran Ms. McCabe's phone through a Celebrite reader that was created on May 4th, 2022. The defense expert used Celebrite Physical Analyzer version 7.61.0.12, a newer updated version of the software utilized to download said material. The purportedly incriminating search in question does not appear in the downloaded material using the earlier version of the software and therefore was not in the earlier extraction. Okay, so there they are explaining why they didn't have this information about the 227 search because they used a different software. The defense used a better version of it than the prosecution used, right? Well, here we go. The updated version of Celebrite that was not in existence at the time of the troopers' initial download does show such a search. And here's where the whole battle's going to be fought. However, the Google search, how long to die in the cold, did not.
Well, Vinny is excited. Like every time he talks about this case, he gets super excited.
Occur at 2:27 and 40 seconds a.m. This is the prosecution disputing that time. How on earth? Why is it not like black and white? Why are we now fighting in the gray area when it comes to the time of a Google search?
That's a great
Let me
question.
bring in a special guest joining us, Jennifer Coffindale from Jacksonville, Florida, retired FBI special agent and an expert in cell phone searches. Jennifer, great to see you. Thank you for being with us. Why on earth? We all have these phones. We've had them for years. I've watched a million trials. Why wouldn't there be experts saying different things about the time that a search is done on a phone? How is that possible?
Well, how it's possible is essentially at that time, the 227 mark, she opened up a Google search, if you will, and that search was for actually basketball, ozone, a scoreboard. So now she's Googling, and then she also actually watches a video. Anyway,
Wait, is this the expert that he said? Was he referring to her as the expert in Google searches? Please tell me that this is the expert that they were referring to. Please, dear sweet baby Jesus, please tell me.
that window was essentially open. So the timestamp is from the earlier time that it was opened. And so later, when she's with Karen Reed, who is asking her, please, Google this. Long body be out in the cold before they die, essentially. Then she Googles it. So the stamp is registering from when that window, if you will, was originally open.
Okay, let me make sure I got this because you explained it very well. She picks up the phone, 2:27 and 40 seconds a.m. is searching something about sports. Maybe goes to sleep, leaves the phone alone. Later that morning, picks up her phone again, and in the same search bar in the same window, does the search for dying in the cold. And when you extract the information, it goes back to the prior search because it's the same window.
Exactly.
Is this common knowledge? Is this common knowledge, or could experts disagree about this and create all this?
That's the stupidest fucking explanation ever.
Gray area, because Alan Jackson was adamant that it was a 227 search.
Well, he needs it to be. He needs it to be at 227 for this conspiracy theory to hold some sort of water. But the fact is, it wasn't. And not only are there going to be experts that lay this out much more eloquently than I did and explain in very technical terms how this can happen, there's also going to be Jennifer McCabe's testimony and well explaining why she searched at a later time.
Yeah, because Jennifer McCabe's testimony is going to be so credible.
It's fascinating. I expect, though, that the defense is going to have an expert to say something else. Right? That's what happens in trials. Have you ever seen this issue come up before?
And there have been plenty of court TV segments since this where Jennifer Coffindoffer was not put on this show. Like, ever since the defense has explained how ever since it became public that there was an independent federal investigation that found that the 227 search absolutely did happen at 227, and also that Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her SUV. These things have been established by independent FBI experts conducting their own independent investigation. And ever since that happened, this idiot has not been invited back on the show. I wonder why.
I haven't seen this exact issue come up before. Oftentimes, it's the Google search that is what does come up, and the timestamp really isn't that important. In this case, it's going to be important when that search happened, because nobody's denying that the search happened. They're denying when it happened.
All right, Jennifer Coffindoffer. I mean, fantastic job. Laid out very simply. I just hope a jury can understand all this. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
So explain to me why the Celebrite data report shows 3 different searches spelled differently each time, and explain to me why 2 of those searches are at 2 separate times. And then you're trying to tell me that they're the same search? I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, it doesn't take, that's my whole point, is that's just bullshit smoke and mirrors that the prosecution is presenting, which is suspicious in and of itself, because the prosecution isn't supposed to present any smoke and mirrors or distractions. They're supposed to just lay out fact. And yet, even the prosecution's expert never said that the 227 search didn't happen. They just said that the 623 and 624 searches did happen. They never determined that the 227 search never happened. So
I have a couple of thoughts about this. I don't necessarily think that Vinny really understands what that means, updated. He said the defense used an older version, or the defense used a newer version and the state used an older version. I don't think Vinny really quite understands
Well, Vinny was just was talking about the technical side, right?
Right.
And again, she came on the show to explain the non-technical. And basically what this all means.
I can't believe that this jackass fucking introduced Coffindoffer as an expert in Google searches, in cell phone data. I love it.
Is that at 227, okay, she was looking up something else. But she left that window open when she put the phone down. And just like how she said. Now, this is where Karen Reed put her own self in a box. Because when she was with her lawyers and said the infamous quote, "You all know," we all know what she said after that. She said, well, I was the only one that tried to help John. So that means you put yourself next to his body. And when you read the affidavit, Jennifer said that it was Karen that told her to look this up. So if you're the prosecution, if you really want to win this case early on, you call her to the stand. You know, you lay it all out. And then you ask the most important question.
What are you talking about?
Did you instruct her to look up that information in her phone? Because the prosecution is saying that the real timestamp is after 6 a.m. after when John was discovered.
Oh, I see the point you're trying to make. So yeah,
So-
she's saying I was the one performing CPR and trying to help him. That's why Jennifer McCabe did the Googling.
And the thing is that, you know, the real timestamp occurred after 6 a.m. So when you ask that question to Karen on the stand, if she
as opposed to the fake timestamp,
instructed her to look this up, if she pleased,
why would there be two separate searches listed on? Let's just say there were two searches, or one search with two different timestamps. Why would there be two different timestamps on the Celebrite report? That shit doesn't fly. Sorry. Because if the explanation is that the window was left open, there would only be one search. There wouldn't be two. There would be one. You would have the basketball search, and then you would have the how long to die in cold search. You wouldn't have oh my God. Jesus Christ, dude. These people are just fucking dumb.
pleads the fifth or wants to be around the bush with her answer, it's game over at that point, because it's the whole reason why this whole story even exploded the way it did. It's because they're saying that Google search was done to do bodily harm on somebody in advance before they got there. And the fact is, it wasn't. So that's why after you get the technical aspect of it, it's going to be the non-technical that's really going to make it easier for them to understand. And look, it's game over at that point, because that's the movie script. They Googled this, and the story came out the way it did. But when you look at that Google search, okay, it's misspelled and it's missing a word.
Well,
Let me
it's
ask
not
you-
only misspelled. I'm trying to pull up the picture, and for whatever reason, my Mac never wants to behave with me. But when you look at the and I believe this is from a defense's filing, the 227 search is misspelled, HOS, long to die in the cold, and it's from a suspended state tab. So exactly what you and I are both saying, and what Jennifer Coffindaffer said. And I want to say, Jennifer Coffindaffer, for as wrong as she's ever been in the past, she is dead right on this.
Absolutely,
She is
absolutely.
right on this. I mean, and she's been the only one that I've seen that has been right on this. And I consulted. I'm a computer, but I'm nowhere near as experienced as many of the people that I know. And I consulted with he's not a forensic expert, but he's a computer expert. And I sent him everything. I sent him the screenshots, I sent him everything, and I sent him the defense's claims. And he said, there's only two possibilities. Somebody's lying or technical error. Because both can't be true. So, and Jennifer Coffindaffer is exactly right. Jennifer McCabe had opened another window where she searched
Statement
a
of the
sports
year.
website, a scoreboard. She then left that window open. And not only was it a suspended state tab, the 227, it was in a private browser. Okay. So that changes things too, in terms of how it's stored in the WAL file. And we're about to go into that, the WAL file. And then you have the 623 search.
Yes.
Spelled correctly. And that's in a Safari cache record. It's not in a suspended state tab, and it's spelled correctly, but it's still a private browser. And then you have the 624 misspelled, HOS, long to die in the cold. That's in a recent web search, okay? And that's misspelled, and that's also in a private browser. So one of these things does not look like the other. The suspended state tab is different from the two other searches. The two, she spelled it right in one, spelled it wrong in the other. And for anybody who thinks that she's going to spell it wrong at 2:27 and then spell it wrong again at 6:24, that's just, again, it's preposterous. It defies common sense. And
I was want to say real quick too with this. I don't want to lose the train of thought. Is that after you get that technical explanation, here's what happened. She picked it up, opened up that search bar, did what she did. She left it open. Karen,
she left it open, and then
Karen told her, she screamed twice to look this up, yelling at her after 6 a.m. and within the same search bar in the same window. That's why you have the 227. So, but here's another twist as to why she made her look up that information. It's because, and I want to say this for your viewers, what's the best strategy?
This guy's fucking great.
Before an investigation that you know what's going to happen, what's the best strategy to get the heat off of you and put onto the other people? You make somebody else look up this information. You knew there was a party going on. So when you have somebody else look it up in their phone, when phones get confiscated and they see this, when they do that, you're gonna let that evidence fall wherever it may land. And then the attention comes off of you for the time.
Dude, wow, bro. I mean, wow. Dude, seriously? Like, seriously.
No offense, but you are a stupid asshole.
The time being. That's why. That's another reason why she made her look it up. And that's why it's so important to get the non-technical explanation as well, which I know they will. But that's the overall main reason why she did this, because she wanted to put the blame, take the blame off of her, the attention off of her, and put onto all of those people in that house.
yeah, absolutely. That's called distancing. And what Jennifer Coffindaffer was trying to explain is that when an extraction is improperly done, it can commit data to the WAL file erroneously. And that's why a proper extraction, and the prosecution is going to put the creator of Celebrate, it's my understanding, on the stand. And that creator is going to do what I can only assume is going to be a demonstration of a proper extraction.
Yep.
Of that SQLite. Okay. So the database where all of this is stored on a computer and a cell phone, and cell phones are just little mini computers, is called SQLite. So I have pulled up from Sanderson Forensics, and anybody else can pull this up. It's called SQLite Forensic Toolkit. And these techies people, they will put their stuff out there public. But this is more so for people who are trained experts like Jennifer Coffindaffer in forensic examinations of cell phones. It's not as easy as just going into the database of a cell phone and going, oh, haha, this was done at this time. This was done at that time. Just like with anything else, if it's not extracted correctly, because I've experienced this even with my gaming computer, where I've worked on mods for my video game and add-ons for my video game, and then I've made errors in the scripting, and then I've had to go back and delete, and then I'll go back into the folder and it'll say created on January 18th, 1995, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's 2024. I didn't do this. There's always that room. If you're improperly opening or improperly extracting a file, you can always corrupt it. There can always be overwritten data, overwritten confusing times. That's why this is a whole field unto itself.
Okay, you're so right. You're so right. And I also like to add,
she really
you see Karen's lawyers.
Where did I have a computer where I've worked on going about computers? It's called SQLite. So I have and that creator and data to the WAL file. That's called distancing.
But that's the overall off of her.
And what Jennifer Coffindaffer was trying to explain is that that's called distancing. And what Jennifer Coffindaffer was trying to explain is that when an extraction is improperly done, it can commit data to the WAL file erroneously. And that's why a proper extraction, and the prosecution is going to put the creator of Celebrate, it's my understanding, on the stand. And that creator is going to do what I can only assume is going to be a demonstration of a proper extraction.
Yep.
Of that SQLite. Okay. So the database where all of this is stored on a computer and a cell phone, and cell phones are just little mini computers, is called SQLite. So I have pulled up from Sanderson Forensics, and anybody else can pull this up. It's called SQLite Forensic Toolkit. And these techies people, they will put their stuff out there public.
Okay. Hold on a second here. All right, folks. Here's the Celebrate. I had to blow it up here, but here, 129, 2:27 a.m. You see that right there? Safari source. This is Celebrite. Let me Celebrite. You can see that it's the Celebrite report. This is the extraction report. Okay. You see it right there. It says Haas Long. It's a little difficult to see, but here you see it says Haas Long, right? Here, 623 on the bottom. How long? T die in cold. Two different spellings. It's right here. Like, it's right there, Bo. People. Haas Long right there at the top. And how long T die in cold. T-I die in cold. T-O right here. T-I down here. See that? So if it's the same search, why the two different spellings? Explain that shit to me. If it's the same search, why the two different spellings? I mean, this is a case closed situation right fucking here, as far as the Celebrite data goes, as far as the Google search goes. This is a case closed situation. Look at that. 128, 2022, or sorry, 129. It's a little hard to read because it's blurry, but I mean, $129, 2022. If you're looking at this on a bigger screen, it's a lot easier to see. And then Haas Long to die in cold, 2:27 a.m. Right here, 129, 6:23 and 51 seconds. How long T.I. die in cold? And you expect to convince a jury. You expect to convince a jury that that's the same Google search. Okay, what's the third one? This one is Haas Long to die in cold. So, sorry about that. So, explain to me how a 623, so she had the same window open, right? She had the same window open. That's the explanation. So explain to me how the later search is the same search. Right? So at 623, she Googles a different spelling, but at 624, it's supposed to be the same search as the 227. That doesn't make sense. Because if the same window was open, I mean, she had to have closed that window out in order to make that next search. The only way that that argument even remotely holds up is if the 623 search was the same as the 227 search, if it was spelled the same. That is the only way. Okay, this is 624. You can see it, 624. This is 623, 624. So explain to me how she had the same window open, but that search came up identical to the 227 search when it came after the 623 search. How is the 624 search the same as the 627 search if there was a 623 search that took place in between? That makes no sense. That is somebody covering their shit. That's a fucking liar. It's impossible. Can't be done. If the prosecution's argument, people, if the prosecution's argument is that the same window was left open, how did that search in between happen? You can't overwrite one search with another, right? I mean, this is a case closed situation. The prosecution's explanation for this is bullshit. And it's right there in your face. Like, it's right there. So all of this wall data and blah, 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 I don't want to hear that shit. I mean, it's kind of interesting and fascinating, sure. It's kind of interesting and fascinating, but it's smoke and mirrors. It is a distraction. It is misdirection, as magicians like to call. Look over here while I have this up my sleeve. That's what that is. That's what the prosecution's argument is anyway. There's no fucking way. That's not possible. It is not possible. Can't be done. I don't need to know about cell phones to come to this conclusion. I mean, all I need to know is how to Google on my phone. I know how to Google on my phone. I mean, right. And then on top of that, in order to seal the deal, right? In order to seal the deal, in order to consummate this relationship right here, the FBI has come to this conclusion. The FBI has come to the conclusion that the 227 search absolutely happened. And this expert that they're planning on calling up, the creator of Celebrite, is going to say that the 623 and 624 searches happened. And then the prosecution's plan is to go, no further questions. And then the defense is going to go, well, did the 227 search happen? Objection, Your Honor. Wait. Because the 227 search absolutely happened. We're looking at it right there. Hold on. I want to see something. I'm trying to see if there's a difference in right. Now, here's also a kicker. You see this right here, folks? See this top one, the 227 search, where it specifies whether or not it was deleted? The word there is yes. You can see that quite clearly. Okay? Was it deleted? Yes. Now, the bottom one. Is there a yes in deleted? No, there is not. So how was one deleted and the other one wasn't? How was one deleted and the other one wasn't? One was deleted, the other one was not. Explain that shit. People. Anything that the prosecution is trying to say here is absolute misdirection. Trying to sway you away from the very, very obvious, which is right there in your fucking face. It is in your face. The 227 search was deleted. The 624 search was not. It's right there. And why delete that and not the others? Why delete everything else except those two? And it's enough to make you question yourself, sure. That's the idea. The idea is to get the jury to question their own logic, to question their own common sense and go, oh my God, I'm not an expert on cell phones, but this person with the job title saying that they're an expert, you know, and it's going to be presented and conducted basically. It's going to be set up by the prosecution through their questions, right? The prosecution is going to set up the information that comes from the expert based on the questions. But the defense is going to present this. The defense is going to go, okay, this is real fancy and real sweet. And I don't think that this Celebrite expert is corrupt or anything like that, or on somebody's payroll. I don't think that. What I think is that they plan on trying to confuse the jury and hoping that the jury is going to go, oh, well, you know, they're the expert and we're not. And they're going to set it up to where they only get certain information based on the prosecution's questions. They're going to extract certain information from that expert. But the defense is going to poke holes through this just like anything else. The defense is going to poke holes through this just as easily as Jennifer McCabe's testimony, just as easy as Michael Proctor's testimony, just as easy as Higgins' testimony. It's going to be very, very easy to do this. Again, this goes back to what Turtleboy said when he was on this show the first time. He said, well, because I asked, I was like, how can they, I mean, this shit is so obvious. They have to know that she's going to be acquitted or there's going to be a mistrial. They have to know. Well, the plan is to make her look guilty. And that made perfect sense when Turtleboy explained this. The plan is to make her look guilty, but innocent in a court of law, but guilty in the eyes of the public. This way, you're not going to go and get justice beyond what happened to beyond Karen Reed. You're not going to seek justice beyond Karen Reed. It's going to create the idea is to create the narrative that the guilty party got away with it through technicalities, that they got acquitted through technicalities, like OJ. That's the idea. So that nobody goes looking at inside 34 Fairview Road on the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022. That is the goal. The idea is not necessarily to frame Karen Reed. The idea, again, is misdirection, to keep the attention off of the people inside 34 Fairview Road, the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022. Plain and simple. It is a big game of misdirection. Nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. It is very simple. It's very easy. I mean, I play this game with my nephews, man. My nephew and nieces. Did this with my kid when he was little. See that? Watch. See this? See that? See that? Oh my God. I just pulled it out of your ear. Amazing. Magic. Right? All I did was pretend to put this in my other hand. I didn't ever put it in my other hand. I just pretended to do it. But it sure looked like I put it in my other hand, didn't I? That's the idea. This is the game they're playing with the jury, with this evidence. It's all it is. It's all their plan is. Easy. Easy. And I'm not a magician, so don't get mad at me for giving away a magician's secret. Everybody knows this trick. It's very easy. Very easy. Oh my God, I just pulled it out of the back of my head. That's it. That's it. Very simple, folks.
Trained experts like Jennifer Coffindaffer in forensic examinations of cell phones. It's not as easy as just going into
wait, I got to hear that one more time.
Experts like Jennifer Coffindaffer. But this is more so for people who are trained experts like Jennifer Coffindaffer in forensic examinations of cell phones.
Trained experts like Jennifer Coffindaffer in forensics of cell phones. That's what she just described Jennifer Coffindaffer as a trained expert in cell phone forensics. I love it. I love it. We all know better, don't we?
Phones. It's not as easy as just going into the database of a cell phone and going, oh, haha, this was done at this time. This was done at that time. Just like with anything else, if it's not extracted correctly, because I've experienced this even with my gaming computer, where I've worked on mods for my.
What's that?
Going, well, wait a minute. Maybe they're
going. Everyone outside that courtroom is going to feel so stupid, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that she played them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm
like
inclined to agree. She's played a lot of people.
She's played so many people.
Oh, the projection.
People.
Yeah.
And it's like, and listen, it's like, and here's another thing that's so bizarre about that morning. It was dark. It was the middle of a snowstorm. She said that she was the only one that helped John. And yet Miss Roberts, while Karen was doing the CPR, Miss Roberts was doing the chest compressions at the same time.
Right. That was not truthful. Yeah.
I'm like, how can she lie about that? I mean,
right.
And I don't know. You know what? I cannot wait until they blow open this first piece, because it's the reason why we're even got to this point.
This whole piece is a big reason why. So I'm going to read these first two paragraphs, and then anybody else who wants to dig deeper can go look at this. He goes into some real techie stuff, but the first two paragraphs say it all. It's enough for you to doubt the defense's smoke and mirrors. The article and this is from a forensic forensic examination website. I'm sure that you are aware that when an SQLite database is opened, there is an associated wall file. Then the pages in this wall file are automatically written to the main database.
All smoke and mirrors. Everything that she's talking about is absolutely irrelevant. Wall files, blah, 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 blah. Absolutely nothing.
Thus overwriting records.
How could the same search show up as deleted and then should not show up as deleted? How can that possibly happen? Two separate times. One is deleted, one is not deleted. Explain that shit. Not possible.
The wall file is reset. You might not be aware, though, that the wall can contain multiple copies of the same page, each with different data and records, and that there can also be a sort of wall slack or records from a previous database transaction, if you like records from previous wall files. So by opening the database and committing the wall, you are potentially overwriting and missing valuable evidence. This article describes how wall files work and how to deal with them forensically. The steps are very straightforward with the forensic toolkit for SQLite, and the article takes you through them. I will then go into detail regarding the format and usage of a wall file, some of the forensic implications of recovering data, and present two methods for recovering the data without missing or overwriting existing records. In order to maintain database integrity, SQLite often makes use of wall files. At a very basic level, wall files are easy enough to incorporate into a parent SQLite database. You just need to open the parent database in SQLite. Wall files are a form of cache, whereby data that is written to an SQLite DB or database is first written to the wall file when this is enabled. And then
none of this shit is relevant.
A later time, known as a checkpoint, the SQLite data is written into the main database. So from a forensic viewpoint, the existing database is an older version of the data. And when the wall is checkpointed, you see the current version. So I believe this is where Vinny got it wrong in that segment. I think Vinny is not understanding what the state is claiming in their motion. And the state might not even be explaining it to the best of their ability, which is why everybody just needs to wait for the expert. But this sentence alone caught my eye. The existing database is an older version of the data. And when the wall is checkpointed, you see the current version. In other words, the current version is the more accurate version than the old. If they go in and they extract it, they run the risk of rewriting over a wall file and assigning to it erroneous time and even erroneous date and even erroneous search words or whatever the search is in the cache. Okay, so the cache is your history. And all of this becomes even more complicated when you're someone who uses a private browser. I don't, but I know many people who do. Many people do for various reasons.
Okay, just stop and shut the fuck up.
Get the fuck out!
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah. Guys, I think we've heard enough. I've got a headache and I am out of ibuprofen. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night, folks. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me all this time today. Jeez, man, you guys hung out with me, man. You guys are troopers, man. Seriously, I can't believe you're not sick of fucking looking at me all goddamn day, and listening to my dumb ass all goddamn day. That's crazy. But I'm really, really grateful to you guys, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Seriously. Please make sure to like the stream. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Thank you to all you new subscribers. And you guys are fantastic, man. Seriously, all the support. You guys are amazing. You guys are fucking amazing. Seriously. Guys, I don't know. Somebody in the chat said that there was no court tomorrow. Isn't there court tomorrow? Aren't they doing motions hearing tomorrow? Please, somebody confirm that for me. I don't know. I'll know by tomorrow morning. If there's a motions hearing, I will be live. I will be streaming it. I will go over it. If it is not, then I'll go live at some point tomorrow. We'll discuss other things. There's always something to talk about. Because I don't know if I can go that long without hanging out with you guys. But yeah, 10 a.m. That's what I thought, Benjamin John. That's what I thought. 10 a.m. Okay. Right. Motions hearings tomorrow. Right. That's what I thought. Okay, cool. Awesome. You guys are amazing. Guys, that's it for me. I'm tapping out, man. I love you guys very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.